Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called Devoted to Diamond. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! When the Demon King descended upon the human world, terrorizing thousands of lives with his monsters, only one person was able to defeat him, the warrior Devota. The hero promised by God saved the world from utter ruin. This mighty warrior never once uttered a word, nor did they reveal who lies behind their helmet. Tragically, after returning peace to the people, Devota was murdered. Taking pity on her, God decided to give her a second life. Hopefully this time around, the hero could finally have a happy life. Unfortunately, Devota, now reincarnated as a 7-year-old girl named Diamond, doesn't think that this life is such a blessing. Once again, she is in an orphanage where she has to steal food from random mansions to eat. Well, not much of a happy life if you ask me. While she's about to take some more food, she feels a strange presence nearby. She casts an invisibility spell before sneaking around to see some guy trying to open the owner of the mansion's safe. Suddenly, a blade is pointed at her. A man behind him can sense that she's using the invisibility spell. When the man demands that she show herself, she kicks him right where the sun doesn't shine. Ouch, that gotta hurt! There is no way that she'll let herself get caught, so she quickly makes her escape. The next morning in the orphanage, Diamond is awakened by the matron who tells her that there's someone there who wants her. The orphanage is no ordinary one, nor is it a safe one. In truth, this is a corrupt place that sells children to wealthy families. She has planned to run away when she is older, but she hasn't expected to sell this soon. As soon as she is introduced to the one buying her, she realizes that the man is using an illusion spell, hiding his identity. This was the man who pointed a sword at her last night. The man then tells her she needn't be afraid, for he will take care of her. Naturally, Diamond is skeptical of this, but she tells herself she'll go along just until she gets a chance to bolt. The man suddenly picks her up and smiles brightly at her, asking if he can call her by her nickname, Dia. Diamond becomes even more wary of his kindness, and she vows to not be fooled by that smile. Eventually, they leave the orphanage and travel through the forest. Diamond remains suspicious about the whole thing. Suddenly, a man appears from the sky, greeting the man she's with familiarly. The man is obviously quite adept with magic as well. The man greets her pleasantly, and upon realizing that her cheeks are so soft, the man goes on squishing them until an annoyed Diamond bites him. She then learns that the two are actually father and son. She asks him what their names are, but she forgets that she still has a missing tooth. The two laugh at her obvious lisps and can't resist her cuteness. Can we blame them? She's so adorable. Diamond recalls her horrid past life. She suffered in a horrible orphanage. The warrior's powers only awakened during a sudden monster attack, but it was too late. Her friends already perished before she could save them. After that, she was placed under the care of Cardinal Maggiore and went through harsh training to fulfill her duties as a warrior. After winning against the Demon King, she was murdered by the same cardinal who raised her. We are yet to meet this guy, but I already hate his guts. In this second life, she refuses to let anyone use her ever again. When the men eventually stop laughing upon seeing her anger, they introduce themselves. The jet black-haired guy is called Giuliano, and his brown-haired father is called Hiladius. They are from the Leocardia Ducal family, known by all as the Empire's defense as well as its greatest offense. She once again demands to know why they came to get her. Hiladius reasons that it's because she is a talented child. The two men continue praising her, much to her bewilderment. They even declare her a genius when they find out she is self-taught when it comes to magic. Hiladius formally asks her to come with them, making it clear that she will not be harmed and that they only intend to keep her safe until she's an adult. Diamond is assessing them quietly, and she concludes that the two don't seem to be lying. Hiladius even promises to save the other children in the orphanage and ensure their safety and education. Finally, she gives in, and with a bright smile on her face, she agrees to go with them. Giuliano excitedly tells her that she'll get to eat all kinds of yummy food at their home. He then introduces a piece of candy to her, much to Diamond's fascination. She then learns that Giuliano is actually just about to turn 13. The members of the Leocardia family physically mature faster than others, so even though they're still in their teens, they look at least 20. Yes, we all thought he was older. Our bad. Hiladius then tells them that it is dinner time. As she follows them, she knows that she is physically too young to make it on her own. For now, she plans to make the most of the knowledge she'll learn from being with them. Diamond is now looking even more adorable dressed in a cute pink dress after finishing a meal. The men have had a hard time getting her to clean up since she refuses any kind of help. For now, only Giuliano is with her, so she inquires about the Duke's whereabouts. He tells her that he is dealing with something dangerous. He also informs her that his father is actually not a duke, but a count. It is his mother who is the Duchess. Suddenly, Giuliano comments that his father's location is getting farther, according to the tracking bracelet. Diamond suggests finding him, but Giuliano reminds her that the Count told them to stay put. Not one to sit idly, Diamond drags him along. Using his power of flight, Giuliano carries Diamond to look for his father. When she senses danger, Diamond makes him land and runs to approach the danger alone. Casting her invisibility spell, she wanders until she sees the Count being held captive by some men. Determined to rescue him, she uses her small yet powerful form to fight off the bandits, who are bewildered that they cannot see their opponent. Look at our girl go! Watch out, bad guys! She's adorable, but she's a menace. Meanwhile, the Count is not at all impressed because it turns out that he was only pretending to be hurt. Nonetheless, he still treats Diamond kindly, glad that she is not injured at all. Aw, he really is a perfect father figure for our Diamond. When Giuliano manages to catch up to them, he tells them that they are reckless and should have waited for him. He is there to obtain something from those men, a poison from the Urale family. After that whole ordeal, Diamond's little body can no longer handle any more excitement, so she eventually falls asleep in Giuliano's arms like the adorable little baby she is. Look at the potential sibling moment! Later on, they settle into the Gappo territory, the closest land before they can enter the Leocardia estate. Diamond washes before bed, and after marveling at the cute face God has thankfully given her, Hilarius offers to dry and brush her hair for her. This is the first time anyone has done such a thing for her. As she thanks the Count, she realizes that this is not such a bad feeling after all. Giuliano insists on giving her a life-size bear, and Diamond, being a grown woman on the inside, is far from amused. He convinces her that the bear actually has a magical compartment to store things. When he mentions that the Count really wants her to have it, Diamond reluctantly agrees, much to Giuliano's immense joy. Before bed, Giuliano tells her stories about the Leocardia family and how their lands are blessed by God. As she listens to him, she recalls how the Cardinal in her past life made sure to keep her ignorant so he could control her better. Ugh, how despicable! When Giuliano broaches the topic of the prophesized hero, she can't help but react when he mentions that the defeat of the Demon King happened 17 years ago. She has reincarnated 10 years after she died. A lot of things have changed. Unsurprisingly, Giuliano admits to not knowing much at all about the warrior's past. After all, people did not know much about her, especially since Maggiore instructed her not to talk to anyone, even the soldiers she fought with. The following day, Diamond is pretty tired. She did not manage to get a wisp of sleep due to the horrid memories she couldn't shake off. Giuliano ensures that she is comfortable during their travel, but she insists that he tells her more stories. Determined to entertain her, the boy tells her about the time he tried to run away to become a warrior. His father caught him at the front door, and his mother cried because of his actions. She begged him never to become a warrior, telling him how warriors never have a happy life. His mother always looks sad when the warriors are mentioned. This makes Diamond think that maybe the Duchess knows something about her past life. OMG, his mother probably knows her! Is this fate? Curious, Diamond asks for the Duchess's full name. After all, she needs fierce allies. She made a vow in this life to live for herself. To do that, she must first get revenge on the man who wronged her. We totally support you, girl. That man better prepare himself. The Duchess and head of House Leocardia is called Abdorisa Leocardia, a name she has never heard before. The Duchess is known for her skills at wielding a two-hand sword. Seeing her all serious, Giuliano lifts her and asks her if she's being suspicious again. Diamond answers that she is worried that his mother will not like her. He laughs good-heartedly and assures her that his mother is a good person and that Diamond is too cute for anyone not to like her. That's totally true, Giuliano. It is entirely impossible not to love her. Suddenly, the carriage shakes due to a crash. Hilarius is quick to check if they are all right and informs them that the third post has been attacked by monsters. Hilarius assures Diamond that he will protect them and gives her a shield artifact to keep her safe. She is in disbelief as to why he would give such a rare and top-grade magical item to someone like her. She questions him if he is doing so much for her just so they can use her powers in the future. However, the Count is taken aback by her suspicions. He is about to address them, but Giuliano informs him that more monsters have appeared. Hilarius tells him that he'll go ahead of them. Before he leaves, he tells her that they'll speak about this issue later on. When she insists on going with him, he explains that the reason he gave her the ring is so she can learn to value herself more. He merely wishes that she lives safely like other children do. Later on, while Diamond and Giuliano are traveling again, the carriage is stopped once again. Suddenly, Giuliano shouts at her to get down. A harpy is attacking the carriage. It is trying to get little Diamond, but before it can get its claws on her, Giuliano grabs her and gets her out of the carriage. The two fall to the ground, and Giuliano quickly puts up an invisibility spell so they're safe for the moment. Diamond speculates that the harpy followed her scent since they love to eat young children. They try to get away, but they realize that the lone harpy has actually called out to his companions. Soon enough, more harpies descend on their location. Giuliano draws his sword, so Diamond asks for one herself. They argue about it like children, even though a monster is literally in front of them. Guys, there are better times and places to squabble. Of course, the harpy hears their bickering, and it is quick to attack them. Fortunately, a mighty swing of a woman's sword vanquishes the insidious creature. The woman with glowing yellow eyes and jet black hair is Duchess Abdorisa Leocardia, Giuliano's mother. She is so awesome. I want to be as cool as her. Seeing her now, Diamond is startled that she's remarkably similar to a girl she once knew, Risa. Giuliano happily introduces her to his mother. Diamond knows that she can't possibly tell her about her previous life. Even if she believes her, nothing good ever comes from being involved with the warrior Devota. What worries her, however, is the fact that the Duchess doesn't seem so happy to see her. She wonders if she has offended her somehow. Meanwhile, Giuliano is only now realizing something. The Duchess then tells him to go ahead, for she still has to take care of the remaining harpies. She turns away and apologizes, telling her son that they will discuss Diamond later. Seeing Diamond upset, Giuliano explains that there is a reason behind his mother's treatment of her. Diamond also meets Tandy, the deputy chief of the Leocardia's third post, who is instantly besotted by her cuteness. When the carriage arrives for the children, the Duchess watches them leave, marveling at how familiar the girl seems to be. Oh, this is getting exciting! Does she remember her? In the third post, Giuliano explains to her that his mother is probably awkward around her because of something that happened in the past. He tells her how he has a younger sister who went to heaven at a young age. It was 7 years ago. If she was alive, she would be a couple years older than Diamond. When the Duchess sees girls that age, she feels sad. What he doesn't know is that Diamond is actually 7 years old too. She's just small for her age. How heartbreaking! The pain that the Duchess is going through is unimaginable. When the Count arrives, Diamond witnesses firsthand just how loving the relationship is between the Count and the Duchess. Giuliano has warned her beforehand that his parents are quite lovey-dovey with each other, so she better get used to it. Goals! These two are so in love! Where can we find a relationship like this? Diamond is surprised when the Duchess calls her, telling her that she is glad that she is safe. When she receives a smile from her, Diamond is comforted somehow. Giuliano and Diamond are to go ahead to their home while the adults finish some stuff up in the third post. Hiladius informs them that Marciana is eager to meet their adorable guest. In the carriage, Diamond inquires who Marciana is. Giuliano tells her that she is his twin sister, the official heir of their house. When she asks if only females inherit the title, he explains that it is passed down to the strongest among them. He admits that even though it annoys him, his sister's powers pretty much surpass his. He describes that the stronger the power, the more clearly the hair and eye color of their bloodline appear, which is why his sister looks more similar to their mother. When they arrive at the mansion, they are instantly called upon by Marciana. They get to ride the elevator, which fascinates Diamond to no end. When they meet her, Marciana gives her a warm welcome into their home. Diamond's first impression of her is how cool she is. Eventually, the siblings begin bickering about who gets to spend time with Diamond. She can't get over how strange the nobles are, but as the eldest, she knows she has to break up the fight. She calls them up for fighting like kids before deciding that each of them will get a turn holding her. A very diplomatic approach, but one that comes with a prize because in the end, she has to deal with them constantly outdoing each other just to entertain her. They just can't resist her cuteness, so you just have to be patient with them, Diamond. She is totally exhausted by the time Rabin, the maid, tending to her, bathes her. She tells the maid that she is a commoner and that she doesn't have to tend to her. However, the maid will not have it, stating that the little miss is a guest and that all children deserve to be treated with respect. Diamond realizes more and more that the people in this house are strange to her. Maggiore hated that she was a commoner. The people she's around now make her feel important and it feels good. I am so glad that Diamond is healing one step at a time. As she is falling asleep, the Duchess comes to see her. Abdorisa apologizes for waking her up. When she notices that the Duchess's eyes are red, she sleepily tells her not to cry, wiping some of the tears off her face. However, she is quickly taken over by sleepiness, leaving the Duchess smiling fondly over her. The following morning, Diamond has an adorable breakfast with the entire family. They are also fond of her, ensuring that she eats to her heart's content. Even the Duchess laughs at her cute expressions. After that, Obdorisa requests that the two of them speak about something. The twins escort her to their mother's office, telling her that it may be about something important. After asking her to play with them after, the two take their leave. She meets Galio Tolle, the main butler of the house. The first question she asks is if she did something wrong. The Duchess instantly dissuades her from the notion, for she merely wants her opinion. Apparently, Palladius wants to adopt her, so she wants to know what Diamond wants. Diamond knows that if she joins the house, she will finally have a family, but she wants to know what the Duchess wants too. Obdorisa admits that she is unsure because even though she has been drawn to her since she met her, it is not enough to accept her into the family right away. She doesn't want Diamond to feel like a replacement for the child she lost. At least she's honest and treats her like an adult. Diamond tells her that it is okay and that the Duchess doesn't have to feel sorry because she intends to decline the offer. She declares that she likes herself as she is now. Even though she is happy living here, her goal has always been revenge. She doesn't want to get attached to this family and put them in danger. After the Duchess gives her a warm hug, she tells Diamond that she can still continue to live in the palace. She'll be taken care of and will get an education. She's incredibly grateful for this, but she asks if she can get a job. Both the Duchess and the butler cannot believe that they just heard a little kid ask for a job. Diamond explains that she has to earn money to live. The Duchess makes her understand that young kids don't need to earn money. Diamond continues to argue, worrying about the food she will eat and the clothes she will wear. The Duchess is quick to rebut her ideas, even forbidding her of using their powers until she graduates from school, something that Diamond is completely against. The Duchess wants her to have a strong body before practicing magic, and if she disobeys her orders, she is willing to punish her by forbidding her from having her precious chocolate fondue as dessert. True to her child nature, Diamond is devastated to hear this, agreeing to the Duchess's condition in the end. After Diamond updates the twins about what she has talked about with their mother, the archpriest of Leocardia, along with Galio, comes to see them while they're playing cards. Father Luce has been ordered to give Diamond a checkup. The energetic priest is a quick addition to Diamond's list of strange people. Nonetheless, the checkup starts, and despite Giuliano's misconception, Diamond's age has been revealed. Diamond confirms that she is turning 7 that year. Marciana is worried that there is something wrong with her health, but the priest assures her that Diamond is just naturally small. He tells them that her thinness can be remedied by eating more. Meanwhile, Galio suddenly turns serious. He thinks how similar Diamond is to Marciana when she is younger. She is even 7 years old. Can it be? By Galio's account, the sudden news of the Count's passing rattled the Leocardia ducal family to its core. More particularly, the lady of the house, Obdorisa, who began to feel a throbbing sensation in her belly. The search for the truth about such devastating news escaped the minds of the people with Obdorisa, as they immediately called for the house doctor in order to tend to the already collapsed lady. News of the lady's ill health had spread substantially across their territory, and yet a bit of hope shined through, as not only was he alive, Count Halladius also rushed home when he heard of his wife's condition. Unfortunately, tragedy wasn't evaded, as by the time he returned, there had already been an attack on his estate and their newborn child had been kidnapped. Finally, all hope vanished when they caught the suspect, but all he could say was the young baby had already been killed. Poor family. Really, what a devilish move to pull off involving a baby. The family concludes that it had been an attack to weaken them, and they might have succeeded when Halladius starts blaming himself. But with fierce eyes, Obdorisa proclaims that they must stand strong so that they can take their revenge. A mother's love truly knows no bounds. Anyway, back to the present, Galio the butler makes sure to ask about the young girl's birthday, and although the fact that Dia was born in late autumn seems to be interesting enough for the old man to keep it in mind, he reminds himself not to jump to conclusions. After all, the reason why he suddenly visited those memories is because of the resemblance of Dia and Marciana. Besides, they have to inform Dia of her duties as an esteemed guest of the Leocardia family. Dia is to enter the Milky class of kindergarten for the youngest kids to start education, and after her classes, she also gets Galio as her private tutor. Funny enough, she gets teased by Giuliano so much because she tries to not be admitted to a class with little kids, when in fact she is one herself. Besides, Rabine, her maid, does a good job of assuring her that all the other kids will be 7 years old as well. What's more important than that, however, is the dinner party. After Dia's nap, she gets awakened by her maids, who promptly assist her in dressing up. They did such a good job that Giuliano, who went to get his sister, is so in shock of her beauty. Being the loving big brother that he is, Giuliano can't help but fawn over and agree to Daya asking if she looks alright in her dress. Seeing the two young masters together like that gives me a sense of pride to Rabin and the other maids. Anyway, Giuliano again states that he's there to escort his little sister since it's Daya's first dinner party out of affection for her. And the boy couldn't help asking whether or not Daya likes him as a big brother as well. To her surprise, Daya immediately answers yes, making Giuliano request that she should call him brother. Even though she truly wishes to accept being adopted because she never had someone, much less a family, to love her this much, deep in her heart she knows they would only get hurt in her search for revenge. But seeing Giuliano's dejected face, Daya surprises him by calling him brother, making him pick her up and hug her tightly out of delight. And so the time has come for them to make an entrance to the party. Both Giuliano and Daya's arrival creates much chattering and bustling among the crowd, equally because of the former's good looks and the latter's public appearance as the guest of their house. But if the two have created murmurs by their entrance, the same effect has been doubled by the arrival of Count Hiladius and Duchess Obdorisa. If elegants were human beings, they would be those two. In actuality, as the party goes on, every member of the Leocardia family seems to stand out in the crowd, leaving Daya to become aware of how short she is. Quite literally. Worse, she also starts to feel the heavy gaze and murmurs of the crowd, seemingly with malicious intent. It makes her so nervous up to the point that Daya notices her hairpin has gone missing. Fortunately, a boy, clearly older than her, manages to find it, introducing himself as Rel Tole, Father Luce's son and Gallio's grandson. Weird and complicated family. Anyway, the boy does a good job of comforting Daya from the hostile crowd, but immediately leaves when Giuliana and Marciana arrive. Still, that little time is enough to leave an impression on the young Daya. It's Daya's first day of school as a kindergarten pupil. How cute! The little girl can do nothing but blush at the awkwardness of having to face her classmates as the teacher introduces her. She can even feel her pride as a warrior take a big hit. At least her introduction starts off great. Even a classmate, Jamie, stands up and loudly shouts his name as Daya finishes saying hers. This leads Daya to think that perhaps children aren't so bad after all and they're actually very friendly. But immediately after Jamie's friendly statement, he follows it up by saying that Daya's short. Other than that, the moment that the teacher speaks again, pandemonium breaks out among the kids because they want lunch, leaving Daya to reevaluate her stand with the kids. Apparently now, they're scary instead of friendly. A little while later, she meets Elora, who seems friendly enough to approach her while she's reading. But Elora only did so to warn her about watching out for her in class, because she thinks that Daya is there because of her sudden boost in social standing. Thankfully, Elora is only referring to competitiveness in classes, not in society like Daya had thought. During class, they learn all about monsters when another obnoxious kid manages to get acquainted with Daya, which is the aforementioned Jamie. Somehow, the cute and clueless Daya ends up being invited to Jamie's house along with Elora. She makes quite a cute fit about kids being immature when Count Hiladius picks her up from school. She has seemingly forgotten she is one too, but the Count only smiles and muses at how their very mature Daya can only put up with that for now. He did ask her to tell Obdorisa about the whole invitation thing though, which Daya does. Upon entering her mother's room, she sees Father Luce there too, who, coincidentally, is actually Jamie's father too. More than that, the Tole family gets more complicated when apparently Luce is married to the head of the magic swordsman. Realizing that it is his house that she's going to visit, she suddenly remembers that Rel is also his son, giving her the possibility that she might see the boy again. Despite her very beautiful red dress, Daya is as nervous as one can be when she rides the carriage heading to the Tole house. She even brings a gift, something she hopes perhaps Rel would like. Upon arrival, Elora and Jamie rush out to greet her, and immediately the boy leads them throughout the house because he has something to show them. He gets scolded almost immediately when he tries to run in the hallway though, but he still continues to walk firmly ahead, something both Elora and Daya giggle at. It seems that even the servants at the house of the leader of the magic swordsmen are very strong. Anyway, the three kids finally reach the room that Jamie is so excited about, his mother's trophy room. There, exquisite trophies and spoils of war from her adventures filled the room. From stuffed monsters, large tooth displays, and even magic sculpted objects made by Elora's father, who Daya finds out is one of the finest magical sculptors out there. However, what catches the old warrior's attention is the claw of a giant wyvern, an almost impossible hunt because it is a level 9 monster. Through Jamie, she learns it was slain with the help of the Duchess Obdarisa, who apparently goes on high-level hunts with his mother around September, because she gets noticeably sad around that. And now even Daya herself starts to connect the dots. She was given to the orphanage around the same time as the Duchess lost her child. She even looks like Marciana when she was young. It quickly occurs to her that perhaps, just maybe, she is the third missing child. However, Daya quickly scratches that thought away from her head. Little does she know, though, that elsewhere the Duchess also reaches the same trail of thought about her, too. She discusses it with Galio, who also thought it was the case, too, but reminds his master that Daya's magic, though proving her ancestry to be that of the nobles, is very different from the Leocardia family. Nevertheless, the two put a pin on the topic, and Galio pulls up a report on the orphanage Daya was in. The butler mentions that one of the main customers is the Marquise of Race, and almost immediately Obdarisa slams her hand on the desk. It seems she's already quite acquainted with the name. The name of the Marquise of Race rings steadily in Obdarisa's mind. She knows him as a very ambitious and ill-mannered man that her family has been keeping track of. What's more, the Marquise is heavily affiliated with the Urali family, being their right-hand man. In the entire empire, there are only two duchies, the Leocardia and the Urali. Both families couldn't be more polar opposites. If the Leocardia serves as the shield of the empire and is the source of high-class mages and warriors, the Urali family has no qualms about their usage of dark magic and questionable methods of experiments on live monsters to attain their goals. So, kind of like a yin and yang. Anyway, the Duchess Obdarisa deeply wishes they had more incriminating evidence on the Marquise, their rival family, and their ties with Daya's old orphanage. Speaking of Daya, she now finds herself with her friends in a living room with Rel, who has taken the time to join them, sitting his brother on his lap as Jamie admires Daya's gift. Daya cannot stop thinking about how good he looks, though, and is a bit giddy that she can see him again. But it seems Rel is well known even by Elora, who states that Rel works for the audit office of the Duchess's house. Rel, with his casual, laid-back, and formal demeanor, merely states that he has taken the time to see his brother's friends because they are also his guests if that were the case. And besides, he wishes to see Daya again as well. Naturally, this makes Daya giddy to no end. Unfortunately, she has private classes with Galio to attend to, so she excuses herself to her friends in order to go home. Galio states that he would have pushed their lesson back further if the young lady was enjoying her time with her friends, but Daya assures the butler that she has to be on time because he has already made the time for her. Anyhow, they start their history lesson, and eventually, they reach the part about the God-sent warrior saving the world, something that Daya asks for more details about. However, inexplicably, the next thing that happens is that a maid rushes to Duchess Obdarisa about the news that Daya has fallen ill. Obdarisa rushes to see Daya, who has just collapsed. Fortunately, both Galio and Luce are already there, and Daya is already comfortable in bed, albeit with visible redness in her face. The priest assures the Duchess that Daya is in no form of danger whatsoever. Naturally, it falls on the butler to explain why the girl has suddenly gotten sick, and Galio makes a strong point that Daya wasn't sick at the start of the lesson. In fact, she seems to be in perfect health, and recounting the very same lesson that Galio had taught Giuliano, recalls that she only got sick when she asked about the warrior Devota. From Daya's perspective, however, it seems that she inexplicably got hurt whenever Galio made quite a number of educated guesses about the state of her life before. Pain in her chest starts to arise, even though she has already accepted the fact that she is just an expendable tool by Maggiore in her previous life. Soon enough, she falls to the ground in pain. Yes, this bridges a strange coincidence between Daya and the warrior that disappeared. But if coincidences are being talked about, Luce admits that when he first got there to examine Daya, she reacted aggressively and even apologized. Luce theorizes that she must have thought she was dreaming and that the sight of him reminded her of some horror from her past. All this makes Obdarisa more concerned about Daya. Anyway, seeing that at the very least she's healthy, the three adults then go to see Count Hiladius, who he himself asks first about Daya's well-being. Sensing his wife's worry, he proposes that their meeting should be postponed. But knowing that what they will discuss will involve the Marquise and Daya's orphanage anyway, Obdarisa decides to proceed. But first, she confirms through Luce that whatever happened is not because of Daya's personal health, and the priest even states that the girl is in perfect condition to be a swordsman when she grows. They conclude that it must be from emotional damage, and seeing as how she reacts badly to Luce, it may be that the offender was a priest. And so Obdarisa orders Galio to investigate Daya's and the orphanage's background, particularly if there are any priests involved. Curiously, Hiladius comes with a report about that as well. Apparently, there was a priest that visited the orphanage yearly before being killed. According to him, the priest was killed because he had seen a project material list and was so shocked by what they were experimenting on that he ran. What's more, he got murdered by the Marquise and Shara Vane, the 5th Cardinal. Obderisa can do nothing but think how Shara, being Maggiori's right-hand man, makes the entire thing even more complicated. The information that the Leocardio family has finally started to take shape. Now, at the very least, they know that the current acting pope, Diocletian Judas Maggiore, who also happens to be part of the immediate imperial family, and Borromeo Urali, the head of House Urali, are the true conspirators. All that's left, as Obderisa deduces, is to figure out what they're planning to do. Unfortunately, the grim realization dawns on Hiladius that he makes it clear to the others. Perhaps the reason why the priest that was killed ran and why the two main conspirators are so concerned with the orphanage must be because the ingredient in their project involves children. Ugh, what a sick thought. As for the moment, though, the family shifts its focus on helping Dia recover. The entire Leocardia family gathers around the dining table just to see Dia eating well again. However, it's still plainly clear even to Dia that something is bothering the Duchess, and so she asks about it. Obderisa is quick to form an excuse, though, and the family gets a laugh out of suggesting what foods to feed Dia so that she recovers well, despite how weird they might be. But mere moments later, a maid rushes forward, bearing urgent news for the Duchess. She smiles after receiving it, thereby ensuring that the news must be of good fortune. Well, apparently a rat has infiltrated their territory and subsequently got caught, and that rat is none other than Amaridia Urali, the bastard ex-heir of the Urali family, who has asked for a negotiation. The family muses on Amaridia's situation, being a bastard son who was previously the heir but fell from his position when a legitimate heir was born. He's also one of Hiladius' attackers from before. But surprisingly, Obderisa asks Dia as to what the negotiation might be about. And much to their shock, Dia comes to a logical conclusion that Amarita might ask permission to stay in their territory now that he has no position in his house. Her intellect, as well as her talent, really is something that interests Marciana greatly. Marciana's interest in Dia has grown so much that on the very same night that they are about to meet with the captured Amarita, she asks her mother if she will permit her to train Dia personally. As for the reason, Marciana believes Dia will become stronger if she teaches her something called black. But for that, she receives a bonk on the head. As Obderisa rightfully states, the reason why Dia is mature is because she had to grow up quickly. What she needs isn't more strength, but more connections and experiences. Truly, if there's an award for Best Mother, Obderisa would win it. Anyway, the two of them proceed to meet with the captured prisoner, who despite being injured and seemingly missing an arm, still has nonchalant eyes. His expression quickly changes in the face of Obderisa's intimidation, though. But still, he goes straight to the point and essentially asks for immunity and help to get himself stronger. Marciana starts by getting angry by his boldness, but again, the Duchess rightfully deduces that he must have something valuable if he's so confident that his safety is negotiable. Obderisa has Marciana release the binding spell, and she does so with a glance. A rather impressive feat if it wasn't still obvious. Marciana is awesome! Anyway, it would seem that Amarita's bartering object is that of an Eye of the Cyclops, a magical object that contains the recording of the day when the Duchess lost her third child. And now, it is Obderisa's turn to be angry. She grabs the prisoner by his collar and makes sure that he understands the risk of bartering using her child. But true to his word, the object really does contain evidence of what happened to her third child, leading the Duchess to ask what he really wants. Amarita reveals that he lost his arm attacking the new heir of the Urali and is now fighting for his life. In a rather crazed state, he declares he wants nothing more than revenge on his family and becomes the next head. Without another word, the Duchess asks the guards to bring the prisoner to her estate. She reveals to Marciana that the reason she hasn't attacked the Urali openly is because along with her family and the capital, it is still one of the pillars that hold the empire together. Now, they have gained a new ally that can help them go around that loophole. On the way home from the negotiation with the prisoner, Marciana now has the chance to hold the Eye of the Cyclops containing the recording of her baby sister. Finally, after 7 years, she can see her sister's face again. From her memories of that day, she and Giuliano were brainstorming to suggest a name for their baby sister when they saw her mother and father entering the room, already crying and in pain. The look on her mother's face that day is where Marciana's determination to become strong for her family arises, and also, she wants to be strong enough to find those who took her little sister. Back in the present, Marciana finds herself staring at Dia's face as she comes home from playing with Allura and Jamie. She notes how much her face resembles that of the child's face in the recording. Daya snaps her focus staring, which by then Marciana reveals that Daya's room has been relocated to a more spacious and grander one. The girl correctly deduces that the Urali guest will be the one to use her old room though. Still, now her room is on the same floor as hers and Giuliano's, so Daya can just go to them anytime she wants. Marciana even gets her to agree to call her sister. She has to leave for a meeting, but tasks Giuliano to teach Daya the Black Code if she wants to learn it, despite being scolded by her mom. Apparently, the Black is an elite secret intelligence organization led by Marciana, and she has taken a liking to Daya and wants her to become a member. Giuliano himself wants her to learn some so that she can protect herself. It takes Daya a month to do so, but during a break, she expresses her doubts again about having all these people act kind around and for her. Giuliano, being a model big brother, says that even though she didn't accept the adoption, she will always have a home there with them. And those words stick with Daya affectionately. Even after being reincarnated, Daya still feels stuck in her past life, because of the fact that she only sees her new life as a chance to avenge her wrongful death. However, a thought comes to her mind. What will happen after she gets what she wants? What will she do after she frees herself from her past? Thinking how her family values and protects her in all ways, she starts to question herself. Is it really safe to open her heart to them? But on second thought, maybe this is finally her chance to be part of a family. After school, Giuliano happily picks up and swings Daya in the air, also telling her that the Duchess wants to see her. Looking at how warmly her brother greets her every time they meet, she can't help but to always feel loved. On their way to Risa's office, they encounter Emerita Urali. He formally greets them, but Daya corrects him not to call her lady since she's just staying as a guest in the mansion. Emerita extends his hands, saying that he's just a guest too. Seeing how dazzling and handsome this guy is, Daya's feet are glued to the ground. Completely stunned by his aura, she's now unable to utter a single word. This kid really has a thing for handsome men. She's only 7. Giuliano knows his little sister very well, and so he reminds her to return his greetings. As soon as Daya accepts Amarita's hand, the latter can't help but to make fun of how small she is despite her age. Daya is aware that he's a dangerous person, but she used all her kitty strength to avenge herself. That's the thing she hates the most to hear. Giuliano picks her up again and warns her to be careful around that man. Shortly after, as soon as they enter the office, Risa, Haley, and Father Luce await her. Right after Daya said that she wanted to rescue those remaining children in the orphanage, Haley went straight there to bring them back. They were planning to protect them in their schools and find them loving families, but the matron declined, citing adoption processes that don't even exist. Risa and Haley had no other choice but to take them by force. However, they recently received some information. To confirm this, they asked Daya if the matron ever sent several children away at once. Daya clearly remembers that it was the matron's birthday when the children were sold. The matron at that time acted like she had received the best present. However, Daya doesn't know to whom they were sold. It is given that Daya is a smart kid. She quickly catches on that there's a possibility that the matron wouldn't hand the children to them because someone's coming regularly to purchase them. And so, Risa asks if she ever hears the name Marquise Race. It doesn't ring a bell to Daya, but Risa found out that he is a regular client of the orphanage and also the right-hand man of House Urali. From what they know, Risa believes that through Race, the House Urali has been buying those children to use them in manufacturing something. Poor children. They don't know what awaits them outside the orphanage. Giuliano is enraged that the children must be experimented on for their enemy's benefit, but there's still no proof to that. Risa then goes over to Daya's chair and pats her back, telling her to be honest with what she thinks would be the best way to save those children. Seeing how Daya calmly handles the situation, she realizes that this child is bottling it up inside. She then embraces her, worried that Daya would feel too burdened about the children. So Risa swears on the name of their house that it will all end well. Shortly after the meeting, Daya realizes that Risa has been smiling more often to her lately, which is very uncommon because Risa normally falls into a depressed state around autumn when she lost her third child. Daya blushes at the thought that she feels like a part of their family. Later on, she sees Amarita slicing the air with his sword, but it looks like his right arm isn't fully healed yet. However, even though this person is dangerous, for some reason, Daya doesn't feel threatened. In fact, Amarita feels so familiar. Amarita keeps swinging his swords when Daya notices that his arm is throbbing. She then approaches him with adult advice that he should avoid training until his arm is fully recovered. What is better than a warrior's advice in swordsmanship, right? However, Emerita refuses to listen, stating that he doesn't have the luxury of sitting back and doing nothing. After all, his arm is a result of his lacking skills. Daya can hear the sadness in his voice. She then realizes that he's just like her, wanting revenge on those who did them wrong. And so she tells him to gain back his muscle strength first. Although knowing that Daya is right, he's still quite stubborn, not wanting to accept the fact that a little kid knows better than him. Seems like her ex-warrior's advice is falling on deaf ears. Daya is now frustrated for being called a kid again. Emerita laughs at the thought that he's getting advice from a little kid. Daya, who can't take it anymore, starts dashing towards him and kicks his groin. Just then, Emerita recalls a memory about a small kid kicking his groin when he was about to harm Haley. Confirmed, it was Daya. Daya playfully teases him while hiding behind Rabin, who immediately blocks Emerita from pursuing the child further. Emerita grits his teeth, disappointed by the fact that he used to admire the child's cuteness. Huh? Does this explain how he bullies her every time? Despite how much of a bully he is, Daya understands why he can't let his guard down. Emerita's exactly just like how she used to be. She can see that Emerita has a potential and that he can increase his skills and confidence as he grows. And so she decides to challenge him to an official duel. Just as when the sun finally sets, Emerita realizes that he got roped into the situation. Still, the two of them continue bickering at each other as if they're like cats and dogs. On New Year's, the Leocardia house hosts a celebration. Daya approaches Risa and expresses her gratitude for watching over her for the past year. Aw, her words are warm enough to melt the Duchess's heart. Just then, Giuliano arrives with Jamie and Rel. Even Tandy can't help but to loudly admire Rel's beauty. Daya definitely agrees with Tandy as her eyes sparkle at how dazzling Rel's beauty is. Giuliano just stares at her, who drools over someone she barely knows. Out of all the questions to ask, Giuliano picks the most embarrassing one, and that is to confirm if Daya likes Rel that much. Daya tries her hardest to deny her brother's right assumption. He then starts lecturing her that looks aren't everything and that she should give up on him as early as possible. However, Marciana smacks her brother and points out that a man's looks and character are both important. But if it's a balance of beauty and heart, Rel is indeed perfect. Daya thinks that Marciana understands her fondness over Rel, but her sister firmly objects, emphasizing that a lifelong partner is someone she can fully trust. Hold on, Marciana. The 8-year-old kid didn't say anything about marriage yet. Little do they know, somewhere behind the column is their mother, eavesdropping at their conversation. A day later, Giuliano surprises Daya with the Leocardia's armories, where a lot of valuable items are stored as a way of showing her some motivation in her upcoming duel with Emerita. Don't tell the kid that Giuliano is just trying to divert her attention from Rel. As soon as Giuliano opens the door, Daya's eyes light up, seeing a lot of swords imbued with magic that are crafted by the most skillful hands. She then notices the swords that the Leocardia heirs used for generations. Each sword is switched out at the succession ceremony, where the black, two-hand sword imbued with the magic of House Leocardia is passed down. The Demon King might rise again any time, so the House of Leocardia has to prepare for that. If the warrior hasn't appeared 17 years ago, they would have used the sword. After all, Leocardia is the Empire's defense. Giuliano further leads her to something way greater, something only that Risa could do. There she stood in front of the golden armor of the warrior who saved the Empire. Simply put, she's come face to face with herself. Risa has been collecting all the things that the warrior used, from the wooden sword and armor to the utensils. Risa did this in order not to forget the warrior so much that she even made the warrior's statue. Seeing the burial box almost makes her cry. She can easily read it as, "In honor of our warrior, Devota." Devota met Risa for the first time when she rescued her from a monster attack. From then on, along with other magic swordsmen, Risa joined the unit that assisted the warrior. Over time, Devota found herself opening up to her innocent smile. When she sent everyone away, except the knights right before she found the Demon King, Risa was the last to leave her side, holding on to the warrior's promise to see her again. But then, Devota was betrayed and killed. Still, in the end, she is no longer alone. In fact, Risa sincerely cares about her, and that's something she now holds dear in her heart. And maybe Risa might accept the truth about her past life, too. Days later, Daya takes a peek under a tree, looking at Risa, who keeps entertaining the guests. Suddenly, she gets startled when someone taps her shoulder. To her surprise, it's Rel. Without hesitation, she asks him for advice on how to tell the Duchess about something she hasn't told anyone before. Rel then extends his hand to guide her in going somewhere private, where they are the only ones around. She's just a child, but he wants her to calmly express herself with no people to be wary from. Behind the castle is a place full of flowers. Daya and Rel hold hand in hand as their laughter dances with the wind. Then, Rel tells her to freely speak her mind. He knows for a fact that not everything must be said to be understood. For instance, he is well aware that there are people who do not want him to be close to Daya, but he didn't make a fuss about it. Daya stoned for a minute, hoping that Rel didn't hear her siblings talking about how much she likes him. Rel then lifts her up, assuring her not to worry because he also has his own secrets and that her siblings only said it for her own sake without ill intent. Now carrying Daya in his arms, he further assures her to tell the Duchess what she wishes to say because she's much more loved than she knows. I admit, Rel sounds like a romantic character we all want in real life. Daya smiles as she hops out of his arms, thanking him for making her feel much better. As they continue to keep each other company, the Leocardia family frantically calls out Daya. Relax, everyone. They're just talking, with the lifting and carrying and blushing, that's all. That night, Daya asks the Duchess if she believes in reincarnation. The Duchess laughs, unable to contain the child's cuteness and curious mind. There, Risa remembers that she once asked someone that very same question. But if she was reincarnated, she would still like to meet the person in her next life, even though she could no longer remember her past life. At this moment, Daya reveals that there are some people who remember their past life and that she's one of them. The Duchess is a bit surprised about this revelation. Daya is not capable of lying, so she instantly believes her without any suspicions. Also, she's so matured and too advanced in magic despite her age that even Father Luce said her body is in perfect condition to be a magic swordsman. Daya then starts to recall her past memories, the harsh training she endured when she was very young, fighting on the battlefield all alone, and even meeting Risa for the first time. Just then, Risa's heartbeat races like horses galloping the open fields. After hearing the news that the warrior was dead, Risa went to retrieve the body, but she was attacked on the way. She thought she was going to die from her injuries, but thankfully, she recovered with Haley's help. When she learned that it was Cardinal Maggiore and his men who attacked her, she searched for her comrades, but all of them are killed. Risa badly wanted to throw those people in prison, but no evidence or even a single witness can be found. After being a mercenary for years, she returned home to get revenge. She needed the political strength, so she reclaimed her title as the Duchess. In order to make Maggiore pay for his crimes, she created the organization Black to investigate him. However, the only things they discovered was that the warrior was abused by Maggiore and that everyone involved with the warrior was either killed or went missing. In the end, Cardinal Maggiore used the warrior to secure his position as Pope. Daya clenches her fists as her eyes burn in betrayal. She cannot forgive Maggiore, so she strongly asks the Duchess's help to get revenge on him. Risa, now referring to her as Devota, calmly explains that it's not easy to put Maggiore into trial. Daya then expresses herself that even though she was once Devota, as her youngest, she's still Daya. Risa's eyes widen upon hearing this. This only means that Daya finally accepts the love of the Leocardia family. Once she avenges her past life, she wants to live happily in her new life as Daya Leocardia. Risa can't contain her happiness inside, so she squeezes Daya into her arms as the kid utters the word, Mother. Daya's heart won't stop beating. Her heart feels so full of love. All the things that she bottled up inside suddenly pave way to access the warrior's power, all because she accepts who she truly is. The warrior sword is now in her hands once again. Rel Tolle, 14 years of age, is the genius head of the audit department of House Leocardia. Working closely with Marciana, he is considered as House Leocardia's most valuable talent. Not only is he handsome, but he is also highly skilled in magic and swordsmanship. As he is favored by everyone, it is safe to say that Rel has won much honor for the Tolle family. But it seems like Marciana dislikes him even more lately because of her younger sister, Diamond. But who could dislike that lovely child? Still, he has many questions regarding the sudden appearance of such a talented child. In 4 years, when he comes of age, leaving behind the happy place and his family is his fate. He doesn't have much time left, so he doesn't want to get too close with the people. But when he spotted Daya looking at the Duchess, he started to suspect her even more. On top of that, it's the unknown energy of magic that surrounds her. When Daya asked for advice, he thought that the kid still didn't know that the entire Leocardia family already loved and trusted her. They would not care what kind of secret she carried because to them, she was all they needed to love her, unlike him. At the back of the castle, Daya reached for his arm and confessed that she liked him. For her, it didn't matter if he was leaving to work for another country because he was still part of the Leocardia Duchy. This made Rel smile and then pointed out Daya's hand on his arm, asking if it was also because she liked him so much. Seeing how she reacted to that, his suspicions went away. He may not have much time left, but he wanted to watch over her a while longer. The next day, the Duchess's throne room is surrounded by a strong barrier. That only means that what they're about to talk about requires a higher level of secrecy. Aside from officially welcoming Daya as a member of the Leocardia family, Daya bravely announces that she holds memories and power from her previous life as the warrior chosen by God to defeat the Demon King. And to prove that, she summons the warrior's sword into her hands. Despite the solemnity of the situation, Giuliano's admiration and faith of the ever-fearless and valorous warrior fall apart. He's quite serious about it, guys. Who would have thought that his hero would be such a bully by kicking men's groin? It was nothing like that in the books. Suddenly, Risa calls Rel, telling him that he doesn't have to hold back, but Rel assures them that he isn't doubting her anymore. Not only because the Duchess assures her first, but because he's also one of the people who cherish her. Rel steps forward and kneels on one knee, all while introducing himself as a representative of humanity. He expresses his gratitude as well because Daya was able to leave a mark in the history of mankind by saving them all. Later that day, Daya finds out that Rel is of royal blood. In 4 years, when his mark appears, he will have to return to his rightful place. The current emperor, Brugo Kisel Diocletian, has a severe narcolepsy at only 17 years old. So he has granted regency of the empire to the Empress Dowager, Helena Urali. However, Empress Helena, once known for her great wisdom, is said to have lost all of her sharpness since marrying the emperor. For the past 7 years, the empire has become a hotbed of chaos. Her only concern is the welfare of the emperor. Therefore, she has forbidden House Leocardia from entering the capital city. Isn't that too unfair and oppressive against the Empire's shield? And so the Leocardia house planned to dethrone the current imperial family and crown Constantine Calaran Diocletian, Rel's real name, for he is the only direct descendant of the late emperor. After all, the destiny of House Leocardia is to lead the empire in the right way and protect it. As the honored warrior, Daya knows better than anyone how lonely it is to fight battles alone. That was the kind of life she had before she met Risa, but because of her, she was able to endure. So she doesn't want to avoid Rel this time. She wants to follow her heart and be true to herself. Risa blushes and hopes she will become Rel's source of strength. Is it safe to assume that this is going to be a matter of considering him as Daya's lifelong partner now? They both look good together. The rest of the day goes well, and Daya is able to call the Leocardia family as her own. Seeing how these people she trusts embrace her warmly without hesitation, she realized that her new family would accept her no matter who she is. There are still things she must face, but she isn't scared at all. In this lifetime, she's no longer fighting alone. I'm so happy for this kid. She deserves the world's love. One afternoon, Daya continues to train herself for her upcoming match with Amarita. Normally, Giuliano would worry about Daya, but in terms of physical ability and magical power, it will be an overwhelming victory for Daya. During the picnic, Giuliano shares that a dragon was seen on Mount Chaos, so their parents had to check on it. However, that's impossible. High-level monsters that live on Mount Chaos keep themselves there, and even if they happen to wander into the duchy, there's a strong barrier around the area that would block them. Just then, Amarita mocks how weak the Leocardia's barrier is. This provokes both Giuliano and Daya. Again, they bicker at each other like cats and dogs. Giuliano tries to warn Amarita to be careful in their upcoming match, but it seems like Amarita's underestimating the little kid. Amidst the bickering moment, Amarita can't help but to feel strange while looking at Daya. He's sure that he has never met her before, but he feels like they've known each other since long ago. This feeling is like déjà vu. When he was little, he read in a book that people of this earth live under the power of God. So when their lives ends, they are given another chance at life through reincarnation. Therefore, an unexplainable sense of déjà vu is connected to one's past life. Suddenly, a memory of the honored warrior calling him by his name, Kyo, flashes in his mind. The day of Daya and Amarita's battle arrives. Daya's friends worry for her, knowing that Amarita is much older and bigger than her. However, Daya's older brother, Giuliano, feels the exact opposite. He's more worried for Amarita and even warns her to take it easy. The battle starts, and throughout it all, the audience is in shock at how amazing Daya is. They can't believe an 8-year-old girl does that. Even Giuliano's friend tells him that his sister is more amazing than him. Well, she really is. She was once an amazing warrior in her past life. While Daya jumps and is about to hit Amarita with her wooden sword, she notices that he's in pain due to the cramps in his arms. She wants to change her form, but it's too late. She even warns him to dodge, but it was in vain. The hit landed, causing him to black out. While waiting for Amarita to wake up, Daya can't help but feel guilty. She blames herself for it, saying that she should have changed her position midair. Unfortunately, she can't do that with her current body just yet. Seeing how sad his sister is, Giuliano tries his best to comfort her, but suddenly the butler arrives to inform them of Amarita's waking. Daya apologizes for what she did, but Amarita cuts her off by saying that it was his fault for not knowing his body's limits. With what Amarita's been saying, Daya feels something unusual about him. It's as if he's nicer now. What's up with the sudden change of attitude? Daya and Giuliano are both weirded out by Amarita's action. It feels as if he's a completely different person. Is it because Daya injured his head? Did his personality change because she hit him on the head? Both of them are about to leave when Amarita opens his mouth, saying that he feels embarrassed and immature to have a duel with a little girl, and formally asks Daya for forgiveness, in which she gladly accepts. A few days later, Daya goes to a famous shoe shop with her friends Elora and Jamie to buy some squeaky shoes. But unfortunately, they don't have her size. Her mood is ruined. She's gloomy all day, even when they're having their snack. Her friends notice how sad she is. All of a sudden, Amarito came and noticed her. He even notices how sad she looks and asks what's wrong. It seems like he pays extra attention to Daya now. Her friends told him that it's all because she can't buy the popular squeaky shoes. Amarita looks at the shoes and says that he can make it for her, which shocks her. She can't believe that Amarita will make those for her. Why is he like that to her? Daya wants to believe that it's all because he's embarrassed he lost, but Elora says that it's because he cares for her. All of a sudden, Elora brings up the idea that Amarita has been following her because he fell for her boldness the moment she wins against him in the battle. Isn't he like way older than her in this life? Daya thinks that her friend's idea is all absurd. That's why she needs to ask some opinions of real adults like Marciana. Seeking some adult advice, Daya walks into her sister's office. Marciana, her sister, wonders why she's in there, and Daya tells her that she needs some advice about the strange way Amarita was acting. Marciana then hugs her and tells her how glad she is to help. After Marciana knows about the whole situation, she confronts Amarita. When she's about to ask him, she notices the shoes that he's making and asks if it's for Daya. And it is. He's making those for her to make up for how he treated her before. Seeing Amarita's actions, Marciana confirms that it's true. His haughty gaze, twisted attitude, and all the things Amarita was known for can no longer be found. Because Amarita's personality was due to his heart condition. He won't be able to fake kindness. But what if his entire story of getting revenge on his family is a lie? What if he's secretly communicating with House Arali while spying on Leocardia? Then that could explain his sudden kindness to Daya. Amarita notices Marciana clenching her fists. Without wasting any time, he quickly defends himself, saying that he's all sincere with what he's doing. Still, in doubt, Marciana asks if he's in love with Daya, but he's not that shameless to dare to have indecent intentions towards her. He only wishes to show his regret for his past actions by giving her those shoes. In the end, Marciana confirms that he's really sincere about it. Despite using her detection spells, she can't find anything suspicious. It looks like he was hit on the head and suddenly became mature. In the palace, Daya is in so much happiness when the maid gives her a handkerchief with her complete name, Daya Leocardia. Her beautiful smile flashes on her face as she hugs it and faces the maid to say thank you. She's about to go when all of a sudden the maid asks her if she remembers the day she was born. It turns out that since they don't know the exact date that Daya was born, the maid says that they're planning to celebrate her birthday in late autumn since that's the only thing they know. They even plan on asking the orphanage about the details of her birth. But then Daya remembers that she was kidnapped the moment that she was born, so there will be no answers from the orphanage. All of a sudden, Daya wonders if her birth parents are searching for her, or if she should try to look for them. But then, what if her family will feel betrayed or will think that she's trying to start a new life? The maid notices how torn she is when all of a sudden her mother comes and asks her if she's okay. Together in the living room, Daya tells them that she remembers what happened when she was a baby. After she was reborn according to God's will, she was still getting accustomed to her new body, so she could only make out a few words from the sounds around her. It seemed like her mother loved her a lot, but couldn't hold her. She thinks that after giving birth to her, her mother's health worsened. Then she was kidnapped by a strange man, but she escaped using her magic. When she was left at the orphanage, it was after the kidnapping. If it wasn't for the help of God's servant cat, she would have died as a baby. After telling them what happened, she noticed how shocked they all were, especially her mother. Suddenly, Marciana dashes towards her and looks at her intently. They are all thinking that Daya might be the third child of Leocardia. The details of Daya's story match the details of their third child's disappearance. However, every Leocardia child is born with dark black hair and golden eyes, while some are born with black magic. But Daya doesn't have either dark hair or golden eyes, but she is born with deep black magic, which still gives her a high chance of being a Leocardia. If that's true, Daya will feel so happy. However, if she isn't, she might feel disappointed. She's afraid that her family might feel disappointed too. However, her mom looks at her and says that whatever the truth may be, it won't dismiss the fact that she's their daughter and always will be. They truly love her. They really do. After that, Daya cries for a long time while her family is comforting her. Time passes by as she digs through mountains of documents but finds nothing about her birth. Days later, under the heat of the sun, Daya is doing her best to train, but despite unlocking some of the warrior's power, her body is still too unstable. She's having a hard time moving her body like she used to. After hearing about Leocardia's third child, Maggiore and House Urali are making dark moves against them. On the other hand, House Leocardi is staying silent when they shouldn't. Waiting to land a deadly blow on those deceitful people, cutting them once and for all, Daya tries her best to become more powerful so she can lend her strength to her mother and the family. All of a sudden, Emerita arrives bringing her the shoes that he promised. He notices how bothered she looks and asks her if she's okay and tells her to take a rest. She awkwardly agrees. While wearing the shoes, Daya can barely conceal her happiness, and it seems that Emerita's just as equally happy. All of a sudden, Marciana arrives and greets her sister. She's also surprised that Emerita's there and asks him what he's doing. Seeing how Marciana glances towards him, Emerita excuses himself since if he stays, it will just displease her more. After Emerita leaves, Marciana notices that Daya seems to be so sad for someone who has just received a gift, but it's all because she wasn't able to thank him properly since she felt awkward towards him. Right there, Marciana remembers her talking with Emerita and shares with Daya that Emerita doesn't have romantic feelings towards her. He made the shoes to make up for calling her a little kid. What Marciana said makes Daya feel at ease, and just with that, Marciana notices that she's back to her usual self. The past few days, Daya has been pretty sad, and they often see her spending late nights in her room reading documents from the orphanage. But now, Marciana's relieved that she's back to her usual self. There, Daya realizes that a part of her heart feels at ease just talking about random things with her sister. The next day at school, Elora and Jamie are amazed to see Daya's new shoes. Jamie even wants to borrow those, but they are made to fit her size. When the class starts, all of them are devastated when the teacher announced that they are not allowed to wear the squeaky shoes anymore since their lights and sounds are disruptive to the class. Daya's pretty sad since Emerita worked hard for those. But then all of her attention shifts when their field trip's consent form is handed to them. They're going to visit Mount Chaos again. The day of the field trip arrives, and all of them are amazed as they arrive at the House Leocardia's 7th Guard post. As they are walking, Daya asks Jamie to keep it down since they're not there to play. Jamie looks at her and asks what's the big deal about it. She always nags at him when they're just all safe since they're in 7th post. Well, he's right. The 7th post is closest to town and is the last line of defense. So to speak, since the Territory Army handles high-level monsters, nothing dangerous can reach this last line of defense. That's why the fortress is used as an educational space to teach children how to deal with monsters that they might face in the future. During break time, they unpack their things, eat all of the healthy foods they serve, and brush their teeth after eating. Since it's a trip for children, Daya can't help but enjoy it too. While Daya is eating some snacks, Jamie runs towards her, showing her the squeaky shoes that their classmates snuck in. Daya warns him about what the teacher said, but then Jamie tells her that she's also eating the snacks that he snuck in, so they're just even. Well, he's right about that. Alone in a room, Daya starts casting a spell as a circle of light flashes above her hands. She knows she feels something, a deep, calm magic. It's her father's presence. But that's strange, she didn't hear anything from him today. Maybe he missed her, that's why he came to visit? Her stomach growls. She's starting to get hungry since she used so much energy for that spell. She gets out of the room when suddenly a green-haired girl greets her. She introduces herself as Tanya, saying that she is there with her comrade to look out for her. Daya explains that she goes out because she's hungry, and Tanya gladly offers her some cookies. While Daya's eating, she shares with Tanya that she thinks her father is coming and asks if they heard from him. Unfortunately, they haven't. They already cast detection spells, but they haven't detected her father's presence. Well, the guards might not know it since they can't cast detection spells as far as Daya can. Also, they don't know that Daya's a warrior in her past life, so they may not believe if she told them. Daya thinks that it's better to show them rather than explain, and suddenly she casts a powerful detection spell. Lights are beaming everywhere as the guards are in shock. Daya tries to cast a spell to wherever her father is, but she detects another presence. In the middle of her spell, Daya calls out for Tanya and tells her that something is approaching the fortress. She wants to show them where her father is, but she picked up something else, an energy. If she's right, it may be coming from the monster living deep inside Mount Chaos, the Garguantas. Tanya knows that Daya won't joke about something like that, despite wondering about how powerful she is for an 8-year-old. She hurriedly asks her colleague to send an urgent order to gather and evacuate the civilians. She asks for Daya to evacuate too, but she won't. She wants to help. She knows that if everyone draws back, no one will defend the fortress. The fortress is strong, but those are 2 level 8 monsters. Soldiers without power will not stand a chance against it, so she has to buy some time before her family arrives. Realizing the situation and how capable Daya is, Tanya sets aside her age and trusts Daya with the situation. Daya knows that it'll be impossible for her to defeat those, but they should be able to hold them off until her mother and father arrive. Salute to Tanya for thinking that way. Daya's doing her best to fight the Garguanta, but it seems to be larger than the normal one. It must be a mutant. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. Before, when Daya still lived as a warrior devota, she feared nothing. She trained herself until she could use the power she received from God with ease and even defeated the Demon King, so a level 8 monster won't scare her. Her past self could definitely defeat the Garguanta in front of her with one swing, but now, if she uses her warrior power, her little body can't withstand it. She's not sure if she can even hold off the monster without using any power, but if she also pushes herself and gets hurt, everyone will worry. But despite being weaker than her past form, she surely has people who care for her, so she cannot back down. She rushes towards the Garguanta and swings her sword, but their size difference is too large. The longer she holds on, the weaker she gets. She's holding her swords, preparing to attack again, but the Garguanta turns its back and walks towards the fortress to where the children are. It alerts Daya that she has to do something to prevent it. She has to get its attention to where she is. She puts her hand on the ground and casts a spell. As the blue ray of light starts appearing, her parents are still not there. She might have to finish the Garguanta all by herself. She looks at it when all of a sudden she feels someone staring at her. She checks the place, but strangely, no one is in there. Is she just imagining it? Suddenly, someone dashes towards the Garguanta, slicing it into pieces. It's her mother. Finally, they came. Her mother immediately checks on her. She was so worried when she knew that Daya was facing the Garguanta. However, she is still so proud for her daughter's bravery. When her father finishes taking care of the other Garguanta, Daya immediately runs towards him as he's checking up on her. She starts talking about what happened and how she feels as if someone is watching her earlier. Her parents assure her that they'll look into it. After the chaotic night that she experienced, she peacefully sleeps on her father's chest. After the incident, her parents start checking the place, but they don't find any traces of magic. There's no way that Daya could have mistaken it. It can be someone who can hide their powers and run away. But if they have the ability to conceal it, then it must be from House Urali. Frustration and fear start to show from Dory's face. She's afraid that information about Daya has been leaked and Maggiore will start to do something to her. She fears that what happened to her will happen again, but Haley assures her that it won't. In Daya's past life, she was alone, but now she has them. They can protect her together this time. Yes, guys, you need to protect Daya. The next day, Daya woke up to something unusual. It seems like people are giving her extra attention this time. Classmates are greeting her, guards looking at her and asking if she's okay, and her teacher ensures that she's eating well. It seems like they're treating her that way because of what she did yesterday, and not because she's the third child of Leocardia. They are so amazed with how the Duchess and Daya dealt with the Garguantas, to the point that they can't stop talking to her about what happened. In the palace, Daya finds out from her mom that the squeaky shoes was the reason why the Garguantas attacked the fortress. The Garguantas can hear from a great distance, and once they hear it, they begin to move blindly towards it. Daya feels guilty. If only she knew about it, she would have stopped Jamie from using those shoes. But her mother stops her. The fault lies with the person who uses those shoes for the scheme. They suspect that Duke Arali started this scheme since they heard that he was gathering materials to produce something. But her mother believes that they have other motives. They were probably needing to use the Garguantas. Orphan sent to an unknown place, materials gathered to make something mysterious, and now Garguanta attack? All of those lead to one direction, the first Cardinal, Maggiore, and Duke Arali. Daya will make sure that they will not get away with it. The moment her mother gathers some concrete evidence, she will make sure to get her revenge. While having their meal, Daya, together with her family, discuss what happened at the fortress when she sensed someone's presence on an unused path, while everyone else was evacuated. The enemy must have heard that a very powerful child was adopted into the House Leocardia. Thankfully, Daya's warrior power is still hidden. But if that person sees her fighting the Garguanta, they would probably think that the House Leocardia's power suddenly increased and will do something about it. Worried about what the other party may do, Daya's parents and siblings ask her to be much more careful. They know that despite having the power of a warrior, Daya can't do much given that she's still young and her body can't handle it. But still, thanks to Daya stopping the Garguanta, all the people in the fortress were safe, and with that, her mother asks her what she likes since they have this tradition of giving something to someone who did great deeds for people. However, Daya is still not sure what she likes. She is much happier with her family than any prize she may receive. Hearing this melts her family's heart out of happiness. After a few more discussions, Daya hands some handkerchiefs to them as a gift. Their eyes sparkle upon receiving them. If only that moment can live forever, but nothing lasts forever. The end is bound to find us eventually. Darkness fills the place. She can see nothing when suddenly a girl with dark hair and gold eyes appears in front of her. She looks exactly like her except for the eyes and hair. Strangely, the girl looks at her with eyes fuming with anger. She points at her, calling her a fake pretending to be family, and that she's the real youngest child of House Leocardia. Daya wakes up from that bad dream, catching her breath. The servant comforts her, clearly knowing that she had a nightmare. Despite that nightmare, Daya still does not doubt that she's Daya Leocardia. Even if she does not share a single drop of blood with her family, she will continue to be part of the Leocardia family. Having a hard time sleeping again, the servant holds her hand to give her comfort until she finally can. Walking through the school halls, Daya notices a shift in the way people look at her. While some show respect for her strength, others seem to view her with a sense of awe and curiosity. During lunch with her classmates, they discuss her recent encounter with a formidable Garguanta. Impressed by her bravery and skill despite her young age, speculation arises about her adoption by the Count, with some suggesting it's due to her resemblance to the Leocardia's lost third child. Rather than taking offense, Daya accepts these comments. While she initially believed her adoption was due to her magical abilities, she now recognizes there may be other reasons. However, she remains guarded, wary of getting her hopes up and disappointing those around her. After school, Haley picks her up in a carriage and updates her on the Black's investigation, which suggests she may indeed be the lost Leocardia child. Despite this, Daya remains focused on the present dangers she faces, suspecting that House Urali may be targeting her. Poor child, they should leave her alone. Concerned for her safety, Haley explains the increased security measures around her and the ongoing search for her attacker. Daya realizes she may be a target for kidnapping, similar to the fate of the Leocardia's third child, and devises a plan to expose the perpetrator using truth serum. Presenting her plan to her father, Daya is met with gentle refusal. While acknowledging its effectiveness, Haley cannot condone putting her in harm's way intentionally, prioritizing her safety above all else, just as any responsible father would think. Her father's affectionate words pierce through Daya's warrior mindset, reminding her of her value beyond her skills. He gently persuades her to let go of her plan, assuring her of her significance to their family. Later that night, the Duke and Duchess keep a vigilant watch over their sleeping daughter, discussing her insights and their other children's contributions to the investigation. Concerned for Daya's safety, they remain by her side until the late hours. Despite their attentive presence, Daya is plagued by nightmares. As she drifts in and out of sleep, she senses movement in the quiet halls of their manor. It's already late at night. There shouldn't be anyone walking around at this hour. Could it be an intruder? As the approaching footsteps draw nearer, Daya prepares herself, adjusting her powers to stun the potential intruder for interrogation. The door to her room opens, and Jules enters with a food tray, his face beaming. Good thing Daya didn't strike immediately, or else he'd surely be in trouble. Settling on the sofa together, Daya confides in her brother about her suspicion of an intruder while thanking him for the midnight snack. Spotting the dreaded orange vegetables in the sandwiches, she discreetly disposes them with her magic, much to Jules' feigned ignorance and amusement. Jules, busy with his artifact research, reveals the toll it's taken on him, evident in the dark circles under his eyes. Daya expresses concern, prompting Jules to share his progress and assure her of his presence until she falls asleep, earning her affectionate gratitude. The following day, during their carriage ride home, Marcia and Daya discuss Jules' recent preoccupation with his unusual cheerfulness about it. Marcia remarks on Jules' uncharacteristic behavior, curious about its cause. Their conversation shifts to Daya's friends and potential candidates for the Black, focusing particularly on Elora and Jamie. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the carriage, prompting Marcia to prioritize Daya's safety. Daya knows immediately that the origin of the explosion is the artifact laboratory where Jules is conducting his research. She then informs Marcia about her brother and uses her magic to try to detect him, but to no avail. Marcia commands the guards to spring into action. Being the heir of the house, it is her responsibility to stay away from harm and lead them from a distance. Basically, she's unable to rush into danger willy-nilly even for those close to her. Daya understands her sister's predicament. She can't wait for their parents to come, and she knows that artifacts can cause chain reactions when they are destroyed. Daya, fearing for Jules' well-being, takes charge, instructing Marcia to call for Father Luce while she rushes towards the source of the explosion. Navigating through the crumbling building engulfed in smoke, Daya disregards her own safety in search of her brother. In a room further into the building, she senses Jules' presence, filling her with a glimmer of hope. But as she enters his room, she is met with a shocking sight that leaves her frozen in place. Oh, don't tell me Jules is... Daya finds Jules buried under fallen debris, his arms trapped and bleeding. Refusing to succumb to fear, she swiftly tends to his injuries, knowing that any further harm could prove fatal. With resolve in her heart, she lifts him from the wreckage, his arms irreparably damaged. Realizing they can't return to the first floor, Daya spots her father and sister below and prepares to lower Jules out the window. But before she can respond to their calls, she senses an artifact charging up, signaling impending danger. With swift reflexes, she erects a shield, protecting Jules just in time as the explosion hurls them out of the window. Miraculously, her father catches them with his magic, saving them from certain death. On the ground, Daya's first concern is for her brother's injuries, urging Father Luce to attend to him immediately. As the priest heals Jules, Daya sits by his side, anxious about his arms. Even without being recognized as a warrior yet, she still acts like a hero who once saved the world from the Demon King. Assured by Father Luce that Jules' arms will regenerate with time, Daya relaxes, trusting in the priest's abilities. However, the adrenaline wears off and she becomes dizzy, leaning on Marcia for support. Concerned, Marcia notices a gash on Daya's back, prompting Father Luce to heal her wounds. To everyone's surprise, Daya's injuries miraculously heal on their own, a testament to her powers as the warrior. As they prepare to address the approaching guards, Daya and Haley share a knowing glance, agreeing to maintain the facade that her wounds require treatment. With Daya's wounds tended to and Marcia comforted, they walk away from the scene, putting their suspicions aside for the time being. Despite the abnormality of the incident, they find solace in each other's presence, strengthened by their familial bond and shared resolve. But how would they react if they found out the truth? Especially Risa. What do you guys think? Marcia's voice fills the room, commanding Daya's bravery and rescuing their brother while scolding Jules, who is now awake but armless. The siblings gather around his bed, and Jules explains that the explosion was caused by a faulty artifact meant to confirm Daya's lineage. Despite feeling guilty, Daya receives reassurance from her siblings. After all, she's the warrior that the world needs. So proud of her and her bravery. Jules' arms cannot be healed at once due to the threat it poses to Maggiori's position, so Daya eagerly agrees to help him adapt. Marcia playfully fuels their sibling rivalry, expressing her intention to spend more time with Daya during an upcoming conquest. Despite his injuries, Jules appears resilient, though Daya insists on supporting him through his recovery. The conversation shifts to the vacant papal position and Maggiori's dubious claim to it. Daya interjects, denying any involvement with the appointment. Father Luce speculates that Daya, the warrior, might hold divine power, prompting a reflective moment among the family. Despite the gravity of the situation, Daya remains hesitant to accept such a monumental responsibility. She questions whether she's truly worthy and capable of fulfilling the role of the Holy Father. Maggiori's not right for being pope, and folks suspect he might have harmed the last one. This guy must be taken down, or he will abuse Daya again and in a more vicious way. Just thinking of him really makes my blood boil. They then want to check if Daya could be the next pope. Father Luce suggests testing her to see if she has the big divine power needed. Daya's curious about herself, so she agrees. During the test, Daya shows a bit of her power, making a sword appear and floating a bit before feeling tired. Her parents comfort her, and Father Luce says he doesn't find any big divine power, but notices a strange shield around her. They think maybe she got blessed when she was a baby, or the warrior gave her a new power. To find out, they need to look more. Daya's up for it. She wants to know more about herself. Their discussion is interrupted by a butler with urgent news, leaving the Duke and Duchess to ponder the implications of the missing black agent in Goppo territory. The sound of fighting echoes in the mountain pass. Daya finishes a monster with a flourish. The girls gather around after slaying some monsters, and Marcia starts talking about their brother, whom they left after having been accidentally amputated. She feels she has one-upped him for being able to spend more time with Daya. She lifts her sister up in joy. Risa stands in the background watching her girls, thinking about the recent report from the butler. The missing agent might be dead, but if he's not, he might cause them harm if he is caught by the enemy and interrogated. The agent, Art, knew about Daya's involvement with the Garganta attack. Information that might make the enemy act unexpectedly towards them, which she fears. So they planned on increasing the defenses of the territory. Haley had comforted her at that time because he knew that it was also nearing the anniversary of the time they lost their third child. Risa would go to Mount Chaos to wallow in grief, but this time, she made the decision to instead appreciate what she has. Now that they have Daya, she has made things a whole lot better for them, especially for her. Risa shows incredible strength even in the face of losing her child. And Haley, her loving husband, is always there to comfort her. The Duchess looks at her girls lovingly. They seem to be enjoying themselves, but it's time to go home. When they arrive back at the fortress, Jules greets them with his now present arms. The priests have finally completed the treatment while they were away on their 3-week-long trip to Mount Chaos. Daya looks at his new arms. She knows that newly restored bodies lose the muscles built over time. It makes her feel guilty. He lost his arms for her while researching, and now he has to start over again. No, don't feel bad, baby girl. Your brother is so strong. Their father interrupts them as he announces Jules' training regime starting tomorrow. He also includes Marcia in it to be fair to the both of them. Daya looks at her family. She loves and cares for them, but there are some times when her negative thoughts take over, making her feel like she doesn't belong and guilty for causing harm to them. Haley calls her attention away from her thoughts. He looks at her with genuine concern, as do her siblings. They care so much for her. She can't help but smile and say she's all right. Jamie openly expresses his envy over Daya's involvement in a conquest, inadvertently broadcasting their conversation to everyone around. They briefly discuss the idea of participating in a conquest together in the future, but their attention shifts when they notice Elora walking ahead of them. Usually cheerful in the mornings, Elora appears gloomy today, which concerns Daya. Despite Elora's attempts to reassure her, Daya remains doubtful about her friend's well-being. Throughout the school day, the friends observe Elora's behavior. She appears distant in class and seems unsteady during lunch and breaks, prompting concern from those around her. They realize they need to intervene. Later that day, they take Elora to a cafe for tea, where Daya gently asks her about her mood. Elora confides in her friends, revealing her worries about her father remarrying and potentially neglecting her if he has more children. This really does happen in some families, but I hope Elora's dad won't neglect her. She's such a good girl. Jamie interrupts by abruptly stuffing a snack into Elora's mouth, surprising both her and Daya. He lectures Elora, emphasizing that having siblings doesn't diminish her value to her father and encourages her to see the situation positively. As Jamie's words resonate with Elora, he lightens the mood by offering some entertainment with his singing. Daya notices Elora's peculiar gaze at Jamie after admitting her appreciation for him, and then flowers bloom around them, perplexing Daya. Is this girl really into that phase now? Knowing Jamie, I hope she won't have a hard time with him. Later, during a peaceful tea time with her father, Daya confides in him about the incident with Elora and Jamie at the cafe. Haley laughs, explaining that Elora might have developed feelings for Jamie, drawing a parallel to Daya's feelings for Sir Rel. Switching to protective father mode, Haley encourages Daya to confide in him about her romantic interests in the future. Daya becomes even more curious and plans to talk to Elora about it at school the next day. However, her plans are unexpectedly derailed when she witnesses Elora kicking a classmate in a sensitive area. Oh, she might as well become the warrior's right-hand woman! Excited to satisfy her curiosity, Daya approaches Elora and bluntly asks if she likes Jamie. Elora's cheeks turn red as she stammers out a sheepish confirmation, surprised that Daya had guessed correctly. Despite their frequent squabbles, Daya assures Elora of her support and acceptance. As they delve deeper into their conversation about their feelings and friendship, they are interrupted by their classmate, Blue Marin. He approaches them, appearing bothered by their conversation's volume. Daya quickly apologizes, but Elora stands her ground, pointing out that they were speaking quietly, implying that Blue must have been eavesdropping to hear them. Elora also notes Blue's tendency to pick fights with Daya, suggesting that he might have a crush on her. Blue's defensive posture melts away, revealing a blush on his cheeks as he awkwardly slumps, seemingly caught off guard by Elora's observation. Oh boy, you really think you can have her attention by doing that, huh? As Blue continues to insult Daya, Elora steps in to defend her friend. However, Blue persists and crosses a line by calling Daya an orphan. Daya, maintaining her composure, calmly demands an apology from Blue, highlighting how teasing would upset her family. Seeing Daya's restraint only fuels Elora's anger. In a bold move, she kicks Blue where it hurts, shocking both Daya and their classmates. Not content with just that, Elora grabs Blue's hair and threatens to make him bald, prompting him to tearfully nod in compliance. Elora, what a fighter you are! Daya and Elora share a laugh, but their joy is short-lived as the teacher arrives, having been called amidst the chaos. In the teacher's office, Elora explains the reason behind her actions, refusing to repeat Blue's insulting words. The teacher lectures the girls and decides to punish all 3 students involved. Acknowledging Elora's sincerity in defending her friend, the teacher instructs them to share a form detailing the incident with their parents for further action. Daya expresses her gratitude to Elora for standing up for her, acknowledging her friend's impressive courage. Elora, blushing modestly, insists that Daya would have done the same for her, depicting the depth of their friendship. This Daya-Elora duo is something else. I'm glad Daya finds a good friend who'll always fight for her. For the first time, a warrior who fights endlessly is being fought for. Walking away hand in hand, the girls discuss how they will approach their parents about the situation. While Daya is confident that her mother will understand, she can't help but worry about her desserts. With trembling hands, Daya passes the teacher's letter to Risa, bracing for disappointment. Risa reads it, her expression a mystery. She then asks about Daya's recent altercation with Elora and Blue, her tone calm yet curious. Risa agrees with the teacher's decision for punishment, signaling responsibility. Daya accepts it gracefully, aiming to uphold her noble upbringing. I commend Risa because despite being overprotective for Daya, a punishment is a punishment. Worried about letting her siblings down, Daya confides in Risa, but Risa reassures her, citing her siblings' past mischief and their forgiving nature. As for the punishment, Risa plans a surprise. It's garbage duty at the base of Mount Chaos. Blue gets 5 days, Daya and Elora 7, though Daya braces for something harsher. Passing Blue, Daya endures his teasing once more, adding to her unease. This boy really? When will he learn? Daya won't clearly fall for such a bully like that. Just then, the maid's warning about her family's somber mood due to a past tragedy lingers in her mind. Despite her worries, dinner with her family was normal, their support evident. Elora's playful antics distract Daya, sparking a competitive spirit. Turning trash duty into a game, Elora's creativity shines. She sets up a goal between trees, turning cleaning into a challenge. Proposing a bet, Elora ignites Daya's determination. The loser buys ice cream. Daya, fueled by her warrior spirit, accepts confidently. Unbeknownst to them, a shadowy figure lurks nearby, adding an eerie twist to their day. Daya's final swing fills the trash basket, rendering their game done. Blue sees them playing, and being a killjoy, he complains. This ticks Elora off. They start to bicker with each other, resulting in a new challenge. They hurry away, unwilling to lose each other. Whoever gets more trash wins. Concerned for her classmates' safety, Daya uses a detection spell to scan the area for any danger. She senses a presence near the mountain and she suspects it to be one of the Duchess's personnel. She continues her scan and detects a Cyclops. She remembers that the eye of the Cyclops is a vital material for an artifact that can help them against the Irali. The Duchess said that they needed them. The presence of the Cyclops makes her giddy, an opportunity to help her family. But do be careful, Daya. As expected, the Cyclops stood no chance against her. They just accepted their fate as Daya lunged at them to deliver the final blow. Cyclops' eye in hand, she dashes happily back. Elora and Blue stand alongside the mountain of trash they have collected as they await Daya's return. The guard is there to explain her absence to them. A dark figure emerges from the bushes and Daya comes out covered in blood, startling her classmates. She assures Elora that it was not her blood, but a Cyclops. She notices Blue's absence after explaining the blood. He was so scared, he ran off. What a scaredy cat! Where did that confidence and acting like a strong bully go? Fearing the brat's safety, Daya springs into action. She heads in the direction where he ran off, towards Mount Chaos. Luckily, she sees him right away, not far from where they were. Daya proceeds to chastise the boy, who is now whimpering. It seems she has reacted harshly to a child due to her worry. The presence she detected earlier has started moving around erratically due to a raging minotaur. No one in their territory would do such a thing. They know well enough to avoid the dangers of Mount Chaos. She confirms her suspicions, the presence of an outsider. She will not allow any harm to their territory, and she will do what she can to protect it, even if it means dealing with this unknown outsider. An outsider has arrived at Mount Chaos and provoked a minotaur by killing its offspring, leading Daya to suspect a connection to House Urali and a deliberate attempt to harm their territory. Despite uncertainty about their culprit's intentions, Daya remains vigilant as panic ensues. When Tanya approaches to check on her, Daya swiftly delegates tasks, instructing Tanya to evacuate people from the danger zone. Alone with her thoughts, Daya reflects on the risks of facing a minotaur, knowing that its death would result in a massive explosion. Despite her diminished powers, she is determined to protect everyone, drawing strength from the memories and love of those around her. She's such a brave girl. No wonder everyone loves her so much. A few minutes later, a strange man rushes to flee through the looming forest, unaware of the waiting presence perched atop a tree, patiently biding its time to capture him. With a swift precision, Daya ensnares the man with magical chains, confirming her suspicion that he provoked the Minotaur by killing its offspring. A Minotaur's heart is such a valuable substance that they even call it miraculous to acquire, and it would mean suicide. And so Daya suspects that this man must badly need this since he risked his life just to obtain it. But what is House Urali trying to make with this? Suddenly, the man grabs his weapon and aims at Daya, who seems to lower her guard. However, Daya is able to dodge it and lands her deadly punch, strong enough to send him flying. The man, realizing his mistake, underestimates Daya, only to witness her effortlessly shatter his weapon with her bare hands. His fear intensifies as Daya's injuries miraculously vanish, leaving him unnerved. Frustrated by the man's lack of cooperation, Daya considers resorting to any means necessary to uncover House Urali's intentions. The man, overwhelmed, deems Daya a monster, prompting a surprise intervention. Daya feels disrespected, but someone grabs her hair and pushes her to the ground. Daya is surprised to see her mother, Risa, who is angrier that the man is hurting her love and adorable daughter's feelings. Ma'am, she is too strong to be hurt. It turns out Risa, Haley, and Luce responded immediately as soon as Tanya reported what was going on. Risa also understands that Daya wants to question the man, given how the suspicious people gather high-level monster parts. Something's really fishy here. I have a bad feeling about this. So she instructs Daya to return and bring the man with her, but Daya insists on accompanying her to defeat the raging Minotaur. Risa firmly disagrees, not wanting to endanger her daughter's life. However, Daya argues that the danger applies to both of them, questioning why a child would leave their parents behind when they're also in peril. Furthermore, Daya is aware that it's the anniversary of the day they lost their third child, strengthening her resolve not to leave her mother alone. Instead, she wants Risa to remember this day when they return home safely and rejoice in laughter. Moved by Daya's warmth and kindness, Risa's heart as a mother is swayed, and she finally agrees to Daya's plan to defeat the Minotaur. On a sloped area, Daya summons warrior swords and combines them into a long spear-like weapon. Despite the excruciating pain that follows, Daya throws the spear, draining her powers with a single strike. Despite her agony, she pleads for her weapon to pierce the Minotaur. And to her surprise, the god answers her prayer, granting her victory. Risa calls out to her, but the last thing she remembers, the god speaks to her, hoping that she finds happiness in this life with the people whom she loves and whom loves her in return. Daya deserves all the love that she didn't get when she saved the world. Then, Risa rushes to her side as she collapses just as when the second explosion starts to occur. When Daya regains consciousness, she finds herself in a dark void with a cat beckoning her to follow. Recognizing it as the servant of God, Daya obeys and is led to a place where crystal fragments shimmer like blue flames. To her astonishment, Daya discovers a great power binding the fragments together. She realizes that this is the source of her magic powers and that a thin veil has been surrounding it all along, the reason her body rejects her attempts to wield the warrior's power. The seal, she understands, is the god's way of protecting her, but now it's time for her to emerge from her shell. Meanwhile, Risa is relieved to find that Daya has only passed out with no serious injuries. However, with the Minotaur defeated and on the verge of a second explosion, Risa must quickly put up a defensive shield to prevent any harm from reaching their territory. She definitely can't let Daya's efforts go to waste. Risa pulls out her sword and begins putting up a strong barrier to deflect the explosion. See her? She's called the Empire Shield for a reason. Her bravery and commitment speak volumes. The whole area crumbles at how her power holds back the explosion. She's successfully blocked it, but the impact is taking so much of her power. But with a sudden embrace from her daughter and the pure magic flowing through her, makes her realize once more that even if she has to face the fires of hell, she won't ever fail in front of her child. With a little more push, they successfully blocked the explosion, but it took too much of Risa's magic. Even feeling dizzy, Risa is taken aback while looking at Daya's eyes. Haley, who arrives to check on them, struggles to find the right words. Daya's dark hair, reminiscent of the night sky, and her golden eyes reveal her lineage. She is from House Leocardia. Overwhelmed, Daya's tears flow as she comes to grips with the truth. She is the long-lost youngest child of Leocardia. I'm not crying, guys. You are. Daya, we're so happy for you. On her day of birth, Daya was immediately kidnapped, causing the servant of God to shed 8 tears before vanishing as if casting a spell. Luce explains that the god shielded Daya, suppressing her powers and traumatic memories from her past. Despite Luce's adoration and desire to examine Daya, Haley intervenes. Risa encourages Daya to return home, filling her with joy to share her newfound familial bond with her siblings. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Palace, Duke Borromeo confesses his failure to retrieve the materials requested by Empress Helena. What materials? This is really intriguing. Duke Borromeo apologizes for disappointing the Empress, but there seems to be something wrong about him. For generations, 3 houses have stood as pillars of the Empire: the Imperial House Diocletian, the Dark Sorcerers of House Arali, and the Protective Shield of House Leocardia. Each wields black magic, but House Leocardia's power is marked by strength and passion, while House Urali's carries a sinister aura. Taking advantage of this dark magic, she manipulates the Duke into compliance, using threats to enforce her will. As Duke Borromeo leaves, Helena notes his increasingly peculiar behavior, a consequence of his resistance to her manipulation. His actions come as no surprise, given his history of patricide to seize power and his betrayal of her to the palace upon discovering her relationship with the late emperor. Borromeo's mistreatment of Daya stems from his brainwashing, which Helena originally intended to use to remove the spirit of Leocardia from her. The revelation that Daya, thought to be dead, which was recently adopted, troubles Helena, but she cannot dwell on it now. Ugh, how I wish they stayed ignorant and foolish forever! Daya has nothing to do with their selfish desires. But she has nothing to worry about since he hasn't noticed her brainwashing yet. As she enters the room and brushes her son's hair, Maggiore shows up and assures her that Kisel slept peacefully without any seizures. Maggiore then reaches for her hand and kisses it, telling her how much he missed her, which makes Helena blush. It turns out, Kisel is their child who's under a curse. In other words, Kisel is their karma. Helena seeks reassurance about the artifact made from the material, and Maggiore promises to do whatever it takes to save their child. As she embraces him, believing in his love for her and their child, she remains unaware of his true feelings. False love and true hearts. As each of them feels a different kind of warmth from their family, time continues to pass by. A few days later, Risa formally announces that the third child of the Great House Leocardia has finally returned. Everyone kneels before her as they offer her with a sincere and warm welcome. That day, her siblings welcomed her back warmly, not because she's the third child, but because she came back safely. And on that day, she knew that they waited to see whether she's the actual child or not. And God's protection, which changed her appearance to protect her, is gone now. That means she has grown tall like her mother and sister. Meanwhile, Risa can't help but hold Daya close, though Daya longs to return to school and play with her friends like a normal girl. Despite understanding her mother's worries, after all, Risa believed her dead for 7 years and their enemies may target Daya once more, Daya assures her she will be alright. As Daya celebrates her 15th birthday, her body and heart mature rapidly, leading her to join the Black and aid her family. Her heart. Don't they say 15 is when first love blossoms? Suddenly, Elora calls her out and confidently asks about Rel and Amarita's presence at her birthday party. Given how the two handsome men exude a charm that is off the charts, Elora can't help but to feast her eyes on them. We totally vibe with her on this. Those two guys are seriously irresistible. Just then, Elora catches Daya off guard with her suggestion that Daya should confess her feelings for Rel. Daya vehemently protests, insisting that their relationship is purely platonic and that Rel treats her like a little sister. However, Elora disagrees, sensing something more in Rel's gaze towards Daya. After their conversation, Daya finds herself unable to shake thoughts of Rel. Suddenly, Rel appears in the hallway and invites her back to the party, but his presence leaves Daya stumbling over her words, and so Del offers his hand to accompany her to the garden. As they both sit on a sophisticated swing, Daya can't stop looking embarrassed to the point where her heart won't stop racing. OMG, it feels like just yesterday she was so little and now she's all grown up and head over heels in love. Looking at how calm he is, she knows that Rel always speaks to her so warmly, but he doesn't see her as a woman. He treats her with respect as a fellow warrior, and one day, he'll leave the Leocardia territory to fulfill his duty to the Imperial family, so she shouldn't bother him. However, Rel surprises her by gently tucking a rose into her hair and greets her a happy birthday, further complimenting how a bright flower would complement her beautiful dark hair. Daya blushes deeply and quickly rushes out of her seat, leaving him confused at her strange reaction. In her room, Daya regrets her awkward behavior in front of Rel. She recalls Elora's words, wondering why he hasn't expressed his feelings if he truly cares for her. The next morning, Daya looks tired after pondering all night, but notices the dark circles under Jules' eyes, realizing he's even more exhausted than her. When Marcia mentions how the wounds of rejection run deep, Daya gasps, thinking her sister is referring to her. However, Marcia reveals that Jules has unrequited feelings for Tandi Chaman, the chief officer overseeing the 3rd guard post. She saw him confess his feelings to her, but he was immediately rejected. Poor Jules. I'm sure there's someone out there who'll accept him with all their heart. Daya argues that there's nothing wrong with Jules expressing his feelings for Tandi, despite their age difference. However, their family's strong magic causes their bodies to mature quickly, and they can't control how others perceive them. Some people find it hard to accept those who are different, leading to rejection out of discomfort. Daya wonders if Rel feels the same way, fearing he might reject her too. Moments later, Marcia requests a report on the Black member stationed at an orphanage in Spagna. Learning that the matron was selling the children, Marcia swiftly organizes a rescue operation with the help of the Black. They hide the children in a secure location away from Duke Borromeo's reach. A message from Jean, one of the Black members, indicates that Duke Borromeo has finally appeared. Marquis Race, his right-hand man, demands all 18 children from the orphanage. Daya is shocked, knowing they had taken 7 children in the 7 years she lived there. She suspects they are trying to complete some ominous plan. This is really suspicious. I wonder what they're up to. Poor children. Daya suggests they must break in to save the innocent children and put an end to the situation once and for all. However, rumors circulate that the Duke is in poor health in the capital, raising doubts about his involvement. When Marcia expresses concern about Daya's participation in the mission, Daya reassures her with a confident smile. Hours later, Daya finds herself sitting on a swing under a tree, feeling scared and anxious despite her training. This mission marks her first step towards seeking revenge against Maggiore. Daya's anxiety dissipates when Rel approaches her, and she blurts out how he always occupies her thoughts. Lost in her emotions, she introduces herself as the third daughter of House Leocardia without hesitation. Rel chuckles and inquires about her well-being, though Daya fears his words might lead to something she expects. Rel sincerely admits that he was worried after she left so suddenly the other time, fearing he might have made her uncomfortable. Daya reassures him that she was actually happy and that there was no problem. When Rel reaches out to check if she's unwell, Daya takes a step back, fearing her heart might explode if he confesses his feelings at that moment. Rel interprets her reaction as a sign that she doesn't want to be touched and apologizes. Rel then confesses that Daya is very important to him, but she is also the warrior who defeated the Demon King, deserving to be treated like the hero she is, and so he promises to refrain from approaching her so freely in the future. Reflecting on Rel's kindness and boundaries, Daya realizes he's considerate to everyone, but draws a line when necessary, even with her. Disheartened, Daya assures him she understands and admits her carelessness. With a heavy heart, Daya enters the mansion, hoping Rel will see her for who she truly is, beyond just being a warrior. I'm sure Rel has his own reasons too, but it's hurting Daya in the process. On the other hand, Rel is aware of Daya's interest in him, which secretly makes him happy. However, he struggles to reciprocate her feelings because he feels unworthy of them. So he resolves not to let her become close to such a cowardly and selfish person like him. But that resolve crumbles at the sight of her. He doesn't intend to hurt her, and he badly wants to press his lips to her hand, asking for forgiveness for pushing her away all this time. Rel loves Daya deeply, but he grapples with the responsibility of keeping her happy while protecting her from the dangers his inevitable fate may bring. Is love meant to be this complicated and cruel for them? When the time comes, he'll have to look down on the people he once called family for the rest of his life. That's why he despises the blood in his veins and the fate that awaits him. He knows he must leave certain things behind to shoulder the burdens ahead, yet there's a lingering feeling deep inside that hesitates, urging him to simply let go. Suddenly, he feels suffocated, clutching his chest, and Jamie, sensing his distress, suggests that he can go to the Silver Fork alone. However, Rel insists on accompanying Jamie. He knows that returning to the palace might mean he can no longer freely walk the streets holding Jamie's hand again. I really feel bad for him. It's truly difficult to chase happiness when torn between personal joy and fulfilling duties. In front of the store, Jamie exclaims that he's going to eat a lot of chocolates until he bursts. But when he spots Allura, he runs away to avoid being nagged. But Rel comes face to face with Daya instead. Inside, even knowing that he has no right to be close to her after what he did last night, he still wants her for himself. And even though he can't break away from his fate, he can't stop his feelings for her. Breaking the silence between them, he asks if she ever wanted to run away. Daya responds positively. Defeating the Demon King was definitely scary and difficult, but once peace returned, she knew people would be happy and smiles were painted on their faces. So when times were tough and she felt like crying and escaping, she would simply envision the future. A future where Rel takes part too. To Rel, his destiny is a combination of duty and responsibility that renders him helpless. Something that will separate him from the people he loves and something that he loathes. He thought that she would be like him, but he misjudged her. He forgot that Daya is so much stronger than someone like him, that even the brightness of her noble soul is blinding. But he still can't take his eyes off of her. But still, he wants to stay by her side. Just as when he's about to say something, the waiter arrives, serving their chosen food. The waiter is captivated by her beauty and starts introducing her to other menus. Rel feels a sudden anguish at the sight of her smile she shares with someone else, hoping that he could be the only person to receive that shining gaze. He then slams his hand on the table, startling Daya as he blushes at what he just imagined. "Sir, calm down. She's undeniably gorgeous." Later that afternoon, Marcia goes to fetch Daya, but upon learning that she's with Rel, Marcia gives him a disapproving look, clearly unhappy about what she's just discovered. That evening, Marcia summons Rel to her office because she has noticed the way he looks at Daya. While pointing her finger at his chest, she reminds him that Daya lived her whole life being used because she's a warrior. Now she's finally living a normal life, so she can't be involved with someone caught up in lofty imperial family conflicts. Rel keeps silent, unable to argue because Marcia has a point. Just then, Marcia asks if he's going to give up his right to the throne for Daya. Rel clenches his fist, telling her that he knows his situation better than anyone else. Even he has once dreamed of a happy future, confident that he could face any adversity with Daya by his side. Does love truly have the power to conquer all obstacles? With the enemies now aware of their discovery of House Lacardia's third child, Rel understands the urgency conveyed by Marcia's warning. He expresses gratitude for her vigilance, reassuring her that he hasn't forgotten their plan. Yet, despite the circumstances, his love for Daya persists. The following day, Rel distanced himself from Daya, displaying a cold demeanor that leaves her puzzled. Even Marcia, who usually shares warm smiles with Daya, avoids her gaze. Jules interrupts, urging Daya to return home and carrying her like a child, much to Marcia's disapproval. Marcia is enraged Jules is taking Daya all by himself in an awkward way, so she chases him down outside the mansion. Before she can land a hit, Jules makes sure he puts Daya in a safe area first. Marcia scolds her brother as Daya continues to watch them. She's sure they just don't want her to get hurt, but since they found out that she's the third child, it seems like she's being stripped out of her freedom. She feels overwhelmed by everything. Just before Risa asks her again if she wants to join the undercover mission, Daya believes she did. Things aren't going so well for Daya when the Duchess asks her to reconsider partaking in the undercover mission as it is a matter of her safety. And to add to that, the rest of her family thinks so too. This was part of the plan years ago, a promise, so why now? Feeling distraught, Daya excuses herself from her family. At the residence of Elora's family, she stays over and talks out her frustration, confessing her true feelings about not wanting to live under constant protection, but also not wanting to feel despair. Elora advises her that her family will love her regardless. If Daya continues to be silent with her turmoil, it might make things worse. Elora truly is such a good friend. The whole suggestion reassures Daya as she sought to discuss with her family. Well, up until Elora jokes that she'll never date with her family's overbearing reputation. Daya does not think too much about it as it seems impossible for them, especially for Marcia, to threaten any potential love interest. Wait a minute, Rel has been relentlessly avoiding her. Marciana knows how much she likes Rel, and her being infamous for being wary with people around Daya raises more suspicions. Daya can't tolerate this anymore. But will truly talking to Marciana fix the situation? As soon as Daya confronts Marcia about Rel avoiding her recently, she ends up learning that indeed the older female had something to do with it. Enraged by the confirmation, she demands an explanation, but it only serves for Marcia to be adamant with her decisions because she believes he won't make her happy. Marcia quickly reminds her that she has Daya's best interests at heart, to be happy after all the cruelty she received from her past life. However, there is only one thing on Daya's mind. Sir Rel likes her back. It was not one-sided after all. But this doesn't convince Marcia at all, as Rel also thinks he can't make Daya happy with the situation he was in. She explains the same thing again and again, hoping Daya gets her point that she does not approve of Rel no matter what she says. Alas, this causes a rift between the two siblings when Daya says she hates her before walking out. That was harsh. Calming down the next day at the balcony, Daya finds herself feeling guilty about the aftermath, but all she asks for is support. Amidst her frustrations, she sees Rel walking by, but as expected, he avoids her. Not letting this go, she decides to catch his attention in the best way she knows. She jumps down the two-story balcony. Luckily, Rel catches her. Whew! And then Daya suddenly asks him to become her boyfriend? You go, girl, get your man! Meanwhile, inside Risa's office, Jules comes in to discuss something about Daya, the matter of stopping their protective tendencies toward her. He reveals that he was afraid with the way they act towards her, she would soon grow resentful towards them. Risa expresses the same thing, but it was quite difficult, especially when they lost her once. Feeling remorseful of her forceful actions towards Daya, Jules comforts Risa that it is never easy, but what matters more is Daya because she is precious to all of them. Heading outside, the mother-son duo are making idle talk about Jules' eating habits since he skipped breakfast. Turns out, he's been spending more time on his research artifacts with Amarita. At the same time, they see Daya, witnessing her confess. Oh my! Everyone was flabbergasted. And when I mean everyone, I mean everyone present. At a fast speed, Jules grabs Daya and quickly excuses themselves from the crowd of stunned people. And Rel? Rel's heart skipped a beat with his face all flushed. Before he could even do anything, he was faced by a displeased Risa and the prayers of the staff for his safety. Daya, on the other hand, has no idea what was happening until she realizes that she had blurted out her love in public. Learning that she might cause a scandal on herself and possibly Rel, she asks for help. A flustered Daya's mind is all over the place and begins to come up with a plan or options for the whole situation. This might be the biggest scandal she has yet. Despite the pessimistic thoughts, Jules suggests they talk inside. After telling her older brother about everything, Jules comforts her that the family only did what they could because they care about her. It may have been unbearable, but Daya just hopes that they would trust her more so than ever. To ease her worries, he acknowledges her worries and has spoken to Risa to tone down their overprotective nature toward her. It may be difficult to do it through actions, but they're trying their best. He also adds that if Daya persuades Marcia daily, perhaps she will have a change of heart about Rel. Then proceeds to say, despite not liking Rel, he approves of him for Daya, much to Daya's delights. Aw, he's such a good brother. Well, not until Daya realizes that Risa was there when the confession happened. Whoopsies. Amidst the lovely time between the siblings, Risa is with Rel in her office and he seems to be seeking her approval. Is he asking for approval about Daya? Is this the beginning of their love story? Clouded with dark energy, Risa asks Rel what's his response to Daya's confession, to which he says he would turn her down. Risa is downright in disbelief because she has seen it. She has witnessed it. She observes how the young heir feels more alive whenever he's with Daya. Disclosing his reasons, he didn't have the heart to put more burden on Daya, and he fears that he may be vile like his father since he bore his blood. However, instead of accepting his reasoning, Risa pinches her nose with pure frustration. She believes he's just making up excuses. If he truly cares about Daya, Risa advises him to consider her feelings first. With Risa's blessing, Rel is on cloud 9. Fully acknowledging his romantic feelings for Daya, he writes down a letter for her. A love letter in which he asks to formally court her. And a dinner date too! This ship is sailing! I'm so happy with where this is going! Knocking on the door, Jules enters to see Risa looking so lifeless. Seems like Risa feels regret for giving away her blessing without thinking. No use crying over spilt milk, Risa. Rel, touched and overjoyed by the willingly given blessing, held Risa's hand out of pure appreciation. Even though Risa is having second thoughts, she did not want to cause a scene, for she's a woman of dignity, and a mother who does not want her youngest daughter to resent her if she were to beat up the young lad. Amused, Jules had no say as long as Daya was happy. The two do like each other, and what else can they do? Changing the topic, there are more pressing matters to deal with. Jules mentions the argument between Daya and Marcia. But before Risa can speak up, Haley abruptly comes in at shock about the circulating rumors of Daya confessing to Rel. Again, before Risa can speak up, she gets interrupted by Marcia unceremoniously entering in the same manner as Haley. Like father, like daughter, all right. Even poor Risa is having a headache from all this commotion. Later that evening, Daya paces back and forth outside Marcia's room. Anxiety got the best of her and led her there. No matter how upset she feels, she has to apologize due to the harsh words she uttered the other day. However, she lacks the courage to confront her older sister, especially this late. Hesitancies arise through her mind up until Marcia opens the door, already expecting her presence. The room was in total awkward silence, with none of the two sisters speaking up, save for Marcia drinking a glass of tequila. Breaking the ice, Daya asks if it tastes any good, even asking if she could try the liquor. It's obviously met with a big fat no. Before it could lead to another argument, Marcia lets out an exhausted sigh, begrudgingly letting her take a sip. Gulping it down like a curious champ, Daya sprays out the alcohol on Marcia's face. Apologizing while hastily wiping Marcia's face, Marcia rejects the actions as she finally looks Daya in the eye and demands what she wants from her. Is another argument incoming for them? Or will it finally mend their sisterly love? Tension is present in the room. Having the courage to apologize, it ends up being interrupted with Marcia pinching her cheeks, telling her she was hurt with her words. But it wasn't out of spite, but rather out of fondness. With the sisters getting along well again, Marcia informs Daya that their mother has given her blessing to Rel, and pretends that she's not bothered by this since Daya seems to be overly pleased with the situation. To change the topic, Daya asks if she has any interest in romance, but it was met with an expected dismissal. Marcia fills her in on her role as heir of the family, that she will most likely be in a political marriage, and reassures her that the setup isn't a bad thing. Cutting the conversation, the two share a bed together and only sleep with dreams. In a few days, Daya receives a letter from Rel. Not just any letter, but a letter that intends to ask her out on a date. Ugh, the joy! Daya was practically all over the moon enough that she had forgotten that she was supposed to be listening to Galio's class. Galio doesn't mind the matter, as he soon briefs her about Rel's life. Rel was just 7 years old when he found out his origins, and how his walls were high up since everything he knew about himself is not actually accurate. Fortunately, Daya happened, and Galio wishes her to take good care of Rel. Us too, Galio! Inside of Daya's inner deep thoughts, she expresses that she does not want anything or anyone to tell her what is uncertain because, as of the moment, her only desire is to cherish her time with Rel with all the happiness in the world. I'm sobbing! Those two deserve all the love and happiness in the world together. Don't let anything ruin this, author. This is it, guys. It's the day we all waited. On the day of the date, Daya informs her maids that she'll be having a dinner date at the Tolle Manor. This causes Rabin and the rest of the maids in a state of panic to prepare for the first ever date. From scented oil baths, the most beautiful of dresses, and elegant accessories, everything to commemorate their lady's first date as lovely as possible. In no time, Daya arrives at the manor looking quite gorgeous, as per usual, while she waits for the man of the night with agitated nerves. Her thoughts are shortly interrupted when Rel charmingly arrives, equally as dressed up as her, and compliments her. The date begins with them enjoying a meal that Rel himself cooked, a meal that was full of Daya's favorites. Gosh, the man that you are, Rel! Daya worries that she didn't prepare anything for him, but the male reassures her that he didn't do it to gain something in return. Despite not wanting anything, Daya insists, so Rel requests her to call him by his name instead of adding in his title. With her face all flushed, she accepts his request. Their first dinner together is of stolen glances and blushes that linger a little too long. Each moment wrapped in the giddy, warm feeling of a first date that just feels right for the two. After dinner, the couple strolls for a walk, sightseeing the manor's enchanting garden. They discuss Daya's mission that is soon approaching, and she receives a gift. A magic string that fashioned from the garment the goddess wore upon her descent to Earth, and it is said that it protects the bearer. Reluctant, Daya protests that he needs it more than her since she has the blessing of the warrior. Instead of arguing back, Rel decides to lend it to her as he cannot imagine a lifetime without her if she were to be in danger. He only desires for her safety and for her to come back to him. He wraps the string to her wrist as if it's a promise between lovers. It's the red string of fate! I swear, I'm gonna get diabetes from all this sweetness. Days pass, and Daya tries to reassure Risa that she is strong and capable in this mission, with her mother telling her that she only worries because this will be a long journey for Daya. What mother wouldn't worry about her beloved child? Daya sets off for the undercover mission, feeling more at ease since Risa believes in her now more so than ever. In Kaini, the merchant city, where they will be staying over for the day before departing to Spagna, Daya and Haley meet up with Haley's father figure and the leader of Black. As much as they want to rejoice in the interaction, they discuss important matters. They suspect the Empress Dowager is plotting something due to her strange orders of requiring a large amount of new outdoor clothes for Emperor Cassel. Not only that, but she plans to search for a wife for him. From research and evidence, the House Leocardia knows that the Empress loathes her late husband, but adores their son, along with the fact that Maggiore was always at her side. It may be possible that Cassel is not the rightful heir to the throne. There's only one way to prove that one carries the imperial bloodline, and it is through a magical lake, but it proves to be difficult to decipher as Maggiore is of the imperial house. However, Risa has a hidden card. Rel, the last and closest kin to dethrone Cassel. House Leocardia's one goal is to bring out evidence of the misdoings of the Empress and Maggiore while publicizing Rel's traditional bloodline, which would serve to be impossible if Cassel's narcolepsy is cured. Daya deduces that perhaps the Empress's actions are related to the case of buying children from Spagna to use as materials. The artifact materials they found from the Minotaur attack were also unusual for healing, which could mean that there is an already existing artifact that can heal any illness that medicine can't fix. This also means, in order to save Cassel, the Empress is using innocent children as material to produce that artifact. Aside from that, there is a rumor circulating around Maggiore. His spiritual power is fading, and the Duke relies on Maggiore's healing because of his poor condition. With all the information needed, Daya focuses on completing this mission with her safety in mind, and finding the evidence that could tarnish Maggiore for good. Whoa, this has just gotten deep! Late at night, Daya spots the carriage moving at a rapid speed, leaping off from roofs to chase after it. Staying hidden from behind the trees, she watches the orphanage where she used to reside. More run down than before. The plan is to sneak inside the carriage where the children will be and break in the lab before the director hands over the drugged children. Nevertheless, the situation isn't in their favor. With Haley deployed to where the first carriage will land, Daya makes her move inside. Slipping inside the carriage with no problems, she sends a signal before they arrive at the lab. The carriage halts at the border between Reese and Spagna, where the possible lab is located. The only likely proof was the remains of children at the bottom of the lake. Hiding again from the tight security, Daya finds the lake odd. Dirty from afar, but clear once the view is close. They weren't trying to hide bodies at all. The lake is basically like an alchemy tube for them. With security tight, there appears the fifth cardinal, Shara Vane, and Marquess Reese. And what makes matters worse is that the director and assistant director of the orphanage were murdered and then burned the orphanage. Utilizing her transfiguration spell as the guards arrange the children row by row, she waits for Haley. However, she faces another obstacle. Duke Aureli is there, and eating the young Minotaur's heart? Shara snatches the heart away from the Duke as it was a crucial ingredient to production. However, the Duke was not having it as he needed it to stay alive. He went livid until he was knocked down unconsciously. With the Duke out, they threw the heart at the lake, including the children. Yes, even Daya! Deep under the water, the artifacts that Jules and Amarita made allows the children to breathe underwater while she removes the heart. Meanwhile, up on land, the Duke awakens, seething, screaming that whatever they're doing is not working. His mind spirals as the Marquess tries to console him. With a huge surge of dark power towards the bottom of the lake, Daya struggles to protect herself and the children as she blocks it with her powers. Sensing an intruder in the lake, Haley shoots a magic arrow towards the Duke. A battle ensues when Daya appears before them, causing the Duke to have his arm cut through. The Duke gets shackled up by chains and attempts to taunt Daya, causing her to taunt him back. But she questions why he hasn't set off her detection spell. Her thoughts soon get cut off when he claims the Holy Father won't let her get away with this. The Duke senses resentment from her that, trying again to taunt her, he gets kicked by Haley and then again by Daya. Saving the children and arresting the vicious men, Daya decides to stay back to restore the lake water, with Haley agreeing to leave a guard with her. With the aid of Jean, who draws a barrier around the area, she jumps down the lake to see the remains of monster parts that were used to make artifacts. Purifying it, they both find out that the lake is holy water. She had no clue she can make holy water, thus she intends to take it with them using her powers, which causes her to lose consciousness. Daya finds herself in a warm, empty space and soon awakens to see Rel in a tent on a temporary base. Rel briefs her in the situation and how she got there, with her saying she was perfectly fine. He expresses his worries about her, and it almost leads them to kiss if it were not for Haley's interference. Rel quickly escapes, leaving the father to inform Daya that he only allows hand-holding. Oh, Haley. Luce arrives and enthusiastically asks Daya of the holy water she made and the effectiveness. They also question the possibility of her being the Pope, but it remains unanswered as Maggiore is still standing. In the Vatican, only the Pope chosen by the goddess can enter the Room of Ascent. Yet, things remain silent in the night sky. Luce admits he has attempted to enter the room, but to no avail. He believes that the goddess will provide them with one all in due time, someone like Daya, causing the priest and Marquise to argue. The couple take the opportunity to flirt, to which they still catch the attention of both their fathers. A few days ahead, Risa interrogates the arrested men, to which to no avail didn't do much. So they have no choice but to hear directly from the Duke. Luce informs them that his condition is limited to a year despite the divine power he receives, which means they have to go easy on him during the interrogation. With a hard slap, the Duke awakens from his cell, and surprisingly, he has a different personality from before. How strange! He's all confused and looks more light. Risa explains to him the situation, and then he suddenly snaps after a while of screaming and wailing. It was as if he was battling against someone, and an explosion happened. Not only that, Risa and the others face a black smoke that came out from him. What is going on with the Duke? Is it because of his dark magic? Days pass after the mission to capture Ducal and his men. Daya and everyone went back to their daily routines, but somehow, she's still unsettled. Her father told her she can't be Pope, but Daya's still the only one who can make holy water. Rel then enters the room, guided by Reborn, to Daya's delight. Apparently, he longed to see her and wanted to check up on her, but even Rel could tell she's troubled. Daya admits her wish to give holy water to people to make their lives better. However, Rel warns that Maggiore, who can't produce holy water, won't take Daya lightly, since it'll be a threat to his position. Rel also doesn't want Daya at risk, so he reminds Daya of her wish for normalcy. Now, Daya wonders whether it's because of her warrior past life that her heart cannot ignore the plights of people. Rel assures her it's her own kindness that molds her actions, but still, he kindly persuades Daya to abandon her plan, which she agrees to. As Daya's walking through the hallway, happy because of Rel's affection, she suddenly senses dark aura magic. Remembering today's her mother's scheduled interrogation of Ducal, Daya rushes to the basement. It's an aura even she finds difficult to disperse. Desperate, Daya summons her wings and sword to cut through, but finds her mother and father Luce unharmed. It turns out the Duke was being controlled and had dark magic planted just in case to permanently silence him. Not even a body's left. Daya's mom and Luce were safe because of Daya's earlier actions. Anyway, they conclude only one person could do this: Helena Eurali Diocletian, heir to House Eurali. And truly, it's Helena who released dark magic to silence the Duke. She's distraught how the Leocardias have trumped their plans, and also how they know they've assassinated the late emperor and were seeking a confession from his brother. Helena comes to the realization that Henricus might have had a secret child, one the Leocardias know of and will use to block Cassell's ascension to the throne. They now remain resolved to do absolutely everything to prevent this. Confessions finally came from Marquise Reese and Cardinal Vane about Empress Dowager Helena's crimes. The late emperor's assassination, Daya's kidnapping, even Maggiore's cure for Cassell's narcolepsy through child sacrifice. Still, on the New Year festival, trouble will still emerge. At first, Daya has a happy encounter with Master Amarita. Unfortunately, Reborn calls her when a messenger arrives. Daya finds her family members gathered to hear the recent palace order of Helena. Cassell and Daya's planned marriage about a month from now. Refusal will be treated as a treasonal act. Not that it matters, since Daya's parents outright refuse. They also wisely don't take Helena's provocation to kill the unknowing and unprotected envoy without guard. Instead, they asked him to defect. To plan for this, Daya's mother calls for a meeting. To relieve her of her anger, Daya decides to cheer her up, and their conversation falls to Daya saving her kisses for marriage. Something the grown-ups teased Rel and Daya over. During the meeting, they correctly deduce Helena's figured out their own. So Rel, wanting not to risk any more loved ones, offers to reveal his true identity when Helena's invading army arrives, something they've planned for his 18th birthday to avoid Rel being targeted. Rel's been busy after the meeting, so much that Daya finds him tired and asleep near the gardens. She gives him holy water to boost him up, but Daya gets distracted by his good looks. Somehow, she wonders how soft his lips are. When he offered to have them touched, she asked if she could do so with her lips. So they share a passionate kiss. Ugh, awkward teenage love. Meanwhile, Daya's mother heads a meeting regarding the situation. The envoy was right. The Empire was gearing for war, and they've contacted the Assassin's Guild. To counter this, they plan to spread rumors of Rel's existence, and to heighten security together. Daya does her part too, noticing a suspicious character. She chooses to attack first, and through provocation, she deduces it's the vice captain that would lead Maggiore's troops. Daya gets so mad that she punches the invader's shield clean through and brings her sword down on him. Still, she missed on purpose to keep him alive for interrogation. Through the captured vice captain, Daya learns most of his knights are camped right outside the territory. What bothers Daya the most is Helena's next move, and her mysterious dark magic. Later, Daya assures the worried Rel of his encounter with the invader. She also shares with him her frustrations of the corrupted Holy Knights. They note how Helena's magic might control anybody like it did the late Duke Urali. Daya plans to combat Helena's dark magic, restore the corrupted priests, all while hiding her past. A spark of idea comes from Rel. Holy water made by Daya had saved the dukes before, and since it's mostly associated with priests rather than the warrior, Daya's identity is safe. They also plan to have Daya's mother and House Leocardia distribute it to the population, since they're known to provide aid. Daya thanks Rel for his continued, overwhelming support, and they might have shared another kiss, had Daya's family not barged in hard-headedly, also declaring their support. Anyway, soon the family figured out that most of the invading knights that'll join with the Empress's forces are camped at Gapo, and Daya and Marcy are deployed as scouts. Marcy reiterates their observe first strategy, though can engage if needed, and seeing the sorry state of the town caused by the knights, Daya expresses disgust at the supposed Holy Army. They also take note of the arrival of the captain of the Knights camp. Apparently, he's a skilled man severely loyal to Maggiore after being saved by him. Still, when Marcy asks if Daya is ready, the latter's really raring to go. Daya starts the ambush on the camp knights, striking down one with her arrows. The camp is thrown into disarray, and the captain emerges, asking his men to relax. It was only one arrow. The sly Daya, still hidden, then proceeds to release more arrows, taunted by the captain's words. Expertly, the captain of the knights deploys his shield. His men? Not so lucky. This time it's the captain's turn to be taunted. Daya maneuvers gracefully through the trees, just enough for the men to see her and for the captain to give chase. Daya stops near a cliff, where the captain catches up. However, Daya asks him who's the one doing the chasing, him or her? The captain has the audacity to proclaim he's a man chosen by God to protect the weak, making Daya explode with power and anger. With a single strike of her sword, she brings down the captain, mortally wounding him. As he lay bleeding, he could only wonder about Daya's power and his downfall despite being God's chosen. But ultimately, it's to Maggiore that he prays for help. Daya expresses disgust at him, but is even more shocked seeing him explode from dark magic, the same manner as Duke Urali, and the same manner that she died. Seeing the captain's blind allegiance, as well as his gruesome end, makes Daya remember her own life and demise. An orphan kid who joined the fight to have meaning in her life, she died the same way, betrayed, without a word, exploding to nothingness. The shock is so bad that Marcy had to snap her out of it. Daya is still reeling from it after getting home, though her family does their part in cheering her up by giving her favorite sweets. Truly, she is not alone anymore, and is without people taking advantage of her. Meanwhile, she finds Rel and Allura calling for Jamie, who locked himself in his room. Apparently, Allura thought Jamie's also part of the Imperial family, as is Rel, so they've gotten depressed on how they'll marry. With the confusion cleared up, Rel and Jamie aren't blood-related. Jamie agrees to see his girlfriend, but not Rel. Rel knows Jamie's sadder since they actually aren't blood brothers, and that he'll be away for a while to enact their counterplan against the Empress. He notes how he'll spend time with him and Daya before that. So Daya seeks comfort from Rel as well. To console Daya, Rel offers to escort her to her carriage, which she gladly accepts. However, Daya senses something through her detection spell. Hordes of people are crossing Mount Chaos to their territory. Immediately, she asks Rel to go and rushes to the scene. There, she finds the intruders, but curiously, they're unequipped with weapons for an invading army. Even if they're mages, they're still too unprepared. So Daya concludes they must be on a suicide mission. Daya goes to the people, promising help if they're honest about their purpose. Hesitation initially surfaces, but a man, desperate, fully admits that they are indeed a suicide force. They've been given by the Empress orders to detonate magical artifacts, as small as fingernails throughout the Leocardia territory. They're all made by Maggiore, the acting pope, saying it's the people's honor to do so. Actually, they've even got their families threatened. Knowing Maggiore's skill in magic and the fact that explosives get weaker when they're smaller, Daya concludes that this must be gray smoke. So she acts fast. She asks the people to throw the artifacts off a cliff and wonders why they've got no magical trace, and proceeds to eliminate the gray smoke with her warrior powers. The people's cries are filled with hope as they praise Daya, who blushes from all their appreciation. She then reports to her mother and Amarita about this, and they speculate that the Empress, too wise to launch a full-scale attack at Leocardia due to its status as the Empire's shield, is probably being controlled by Maggiore. But that dark magic can only be created by someone from the Urali house. They also confirm through Amarita of the dark magic's origin, since he's a Urali as well. However, he speculates that due to dark magic becoming weaker when mixed with smoke, this isn't actually dark magic. That's when Daya stumbles upon a certain memory. From her past warrior life, she's seen this before, in the darkest of places. Daya's entire family, along with Rel, enters just as her visions of the past shock her. Amarita's first to check up on her, but Rel blocks him from getting close to Daya. That's when Marcy scolds the two for their behavior. Meanwhile, while the group discusses, Daya makes her thoughts known. She thinks the Demon King's alive. It's met with shock from everyone, but she explains that somehow the Demon King must be alive, at least partially. Though there are less monsters, the existence of the mutant monster species says otherwise. Daya also remembers slaying the king with her own hands, but she asks her mother if she'd seen the demon sword. She hasn't, so Daya reveals that before she had perished, she used it to stab Maggiore's eye. Somehow, a partial entity of the Demon King must have entered him through the sword. This could explain the weakening spiritual powers and the smoke. This means Maggiore is becoming more of the Demon King himself. It also explains Cassell's case. He isn't narcoleptic. He's born without a soul since he originated from the Demon King. So, all those kids they've sacrificed? It's not for Cassell's cure, but to strengthen the Demon King. And unfortunately, their butler reports that all orphanages in Reese were burned, and the children were all missing. This resurgence of the Demon King leads Daya to announce she'll kill him once again. Later, Daya rests in the gardens, knowing her emotions were too much during the meeting. Rel visits her and reminds her that this time they're fighting for their happy life together, reassuring Daya. The two hug, their love stronger than ever. Meanwhile, visions plague Maggiore of how God didn't allow him to be pope for his evil deeds and how the Demon King in his eye promised him power. He gets awakened by a hysterical Helena. She learns their planned attack on Leocardia failed. Though annoyed, Maggiore lets her live because of her usefulness. He calms her by asking if Rel had the mark proving his lineage. He doesn't, so they have a chance to assassinate him before he marches on the capital. He wonders if Helena's degrading state of mind is because of long exposure to manipulation. He then calls for the cardinal, and horrifically, Maggiore devours him. Regardless, his time pretending will be coming to an end, so he bids the heroes take their best shot. While preparing for their march, Daya notes how unusually without trouble the palace has been, though she's grateful assassins haven't come for Rel. Speaking of, Rel has removed magic concealing his hair and eye color, so now he bears the look of the Imperial family. And Daya's starstruck by his handsomeness. Unfortunately, their moment's cut short by Jules, who lets them know how Marcy and their parents are itching to go. Jules will stay behind while the rest sets off on the journey. The season's last days is when House Leocardia begins its procession to crown Rel Emperor. The elite troops are tasked to scout the noble troops amassing on the border as well. Some nobles have approached the envoy, and upon seeing Rel, who introduces himself as Diocletian Constantinus Calern, knelt to pledge their allegiance to the True Heir. His stance and aura all prove his bloodline, though Calern blushes when gazing at Daya. Soon, the party makes a roadside camp, and Daya checks up on Rel. She praises his cool demeanor while he promises that no matter who he is, Rel or Calern, he'll always be hers. Meanwhile, Rel hears other men praising Daya until they sense danger. The Emperor's true heir, rather Daya's boyfriend, is angry. As night falls, the couple takes a stroll through the woods, and they're truly having a great time. That is, until an explosion is heard. How dare they interrupt this loving couple? The attacks were caused by 3 raging minotaurs, and though Rel suggests they inform the Duchess, Daya moves to take care of them herself. Before, she used all her power taking care of one, but now, she's improved. To Rel's amazement, Daya's power even envelops the sky. Of course, the mutants were no match for Daya. Using her magic bow at first, she proceeds to annihilate the monsters with just her fingertips. Meanwhile, all Rel can think about is Daya being dazzling. Daya expertly took care of the monsters, even shielding them in the forest from the Minotaur's explosions when slain. This time, it's Rel's turn to be impressed by Daya, and they go back and forth teasing each other. Well, love is truly undefeated. As they head back, they deduce the attack is Maggiori's design. Being able to send mutants means the Demon King's strengthening. On top of that, there's the Empress doting on Cassel, so Maggiore probably has control of the capital. This leads Daya to stress about it, but Rel's there to reassure her that they'll do what they can, and he'll do what he can to help until Daya finally slays the Demon King. They tell Camp about the attack, and they expect more to come, but surprisingly, they weren't attacked just as they reach the capital, where Empress Helena herself is there to meet them. Rel's council all agree meeting with Helena is a bad idea. Father Luce suggests they take Helena arrested, but Rel says no. He wants her and the people responsible to face their crimes in public, when they've taken the capital. Amidst the arguments, Rel asks for Daya's opinion. Surprisingly, she agrees with Rel's decision to meet with the Empress, noting that she'll protect him. Despite the shocked, unbelievable reaction of everyone, they eventually relent. And so, Rel, along with Daya, enters the room where Helena awaits. Daya's actually glad to accompany Rel, as Helena's truly corrupted to the roots of her soul, giving her a little doubt if she can cleanse her. Surprisingly, just as Rel asks them to sit and talk, Helena summons a dark magic ball. Although not expecting Helena herself to attack, Daya reacts in time. Apparently, the ball was filled with poison, which would end even Helena herself. Now, Daya proceeds to try and cleanse Helena. The Empress remembers her reasons for fighting as she did. Her son, the man she loves, and her hopes for a family. But just as Daya says, who introduces herself as her past self, Devota, Helena already knows she's been used by Maggiore, who's becoming the Demon King. Helena acknowledges this, and realizing Cassel's the only one left she can protect, asks Daya if she can cure him. However, as Rel says, they can't promise since Cassel has the Demon King's blood. So in tears, Helena finally gives her word. She'll do what she can to help. For Cassel. With Helena's help, the Leocardia troops were able to enter the capital. Now, Rel walks through the palace alone, as Daya had gone to confront Maggiore. It's eerily quiet, though, but Rel doubts Helena had lied. He then sees bloodstains on the wall, meaning the troops were here but had perished. Suddenly, an explosion occurs on the other side of the palace, making Rel worry about Daya. Daya's had traumatic experiences from her past life with Maggiore, but she willingly stepped up to confront him for her loved ones. So Rel strengthens his resolve, like Daya, and goes to finish his goal. Within the palace's center lies a power only the Emperor can use, the Emperor's Shield. Despite not being of age, Rel hopes that by praying, he can use it somehow. He kneels and prays, wanting to use the power to protect God's chosen warrior, Daya. He even asks God to take a day of his life in return. But all that appears is a cat? Suddenly, the cat bursts forth blue energy, and Rel instantly recognizes it. He gets enveloped with magic as marks appear on his forehead and hands. Meanwhile, Daya goes to face the Demon King controlling Maggiore. The Demon King expresses his confusion of the goddess's plans. Although Daya talks back, Maggiore berates her as always being a commoner, a lowborn, and blames her for him not becoming pope. Yes, Daya retorts that he's got no one to blame but himself. But upon seeing Maggiore brandishing the black whip used to torture her as a child in her past life, trauma takes over Daya and she froze, unable to stop Maggiore's attacks. Beaten and lying on the ground, Daya can do nothing. Maggiore plans to attack Daya's family next, so she rises to fight again. Thankfully, Daya gets saved by Rel's Emperor's shield magic, and she faces Maggiore with renewed vigor. The Demon King and Daya the warrior face off once more. The battle seems to be at a stalemate, until Daya lands a series of slashes enough to kill a man, but she discovers Maggiore's beyond a man. Though retorting back to his taunts, Daya becomes worried this might be a battle of endurance. Because of Daya's taunts, Maggiore finally releases the Demon King's might. Outside, the palace explodes as wyverns emerge from the basement. Empress Helena watches in horror as Maggiore's pets have attacked. Initially, the Leocardia troops were scattered in the confusion, but Duchess Leocardia managed to save and rally the men against the monsters. Unfortunately, she learns Helena had disappeared amidst the confusion. We see the Empress frantically searching for her only son. She knows only Daya, Rel, and Maggiore were in the castle. Fear overcomes her as she realizes Maggiore might have taken Cassel. Meanwhile, Maggiore and Daya prepare for another confrontation, as we ominously see Cassel's body nearby. Daya expertly switches from attack and defense against Maggiore. She notices his moves seem to be protecting the altar. When Daya looks there, she notices Cassell. But this momentary pause gives Maggiore the chance to attack, sending Daya flying. Briefly stunned, she can't defend. But suddenly, Helena attacks Maggiore's eye and rushes to Cassell. While Maggiore berates Helena and moves to attack her, Daya saves her as well. Though she doesn't like her, Helena's love for her son resonates with Daya's relationship with her own mother. Now, Daya shifts her focus on getting Helena to escape with Cassell, as she notices Maggiore's unusual persistence with his son. Not out of love, she theorizes. Suddenly, a monster appears to intercept Helena, but Daya saves her again. Wondering why she doesn't escape faster, Daya notices Helena being careful with Cassell, who has dark spots forming on his body. So she gives Helena holy water for Cassell before engaging Maggiore in combat again. Now, she puts all her powers as the warrior from the past, and as a Leocardia in a last stand against Maggiore. However, even this seems in vain, but suddenly, Maggiore chokes when Cassell drinks holy water. Finally, Daya realizes Cassell was the Demon King's vessel, so she douses him with holy water. For the first time, the arrogant Maggiore becomes pitiful. Daya disregards his notions of revenge as she lifts her sword to end him once and for all. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!